There's going to be a little bit of announcements, but before that, would the clerk call the roll so we can get the proxies? Clerk will close the roll. Great. Good morning to everyone. We're delighted that we have those of you that are in this audience and also in the other overflow audience. Just a couple of things as a reminder. Everyone on this committee are kind of familiar with our rules and processes, but I'm going to kind of go over them real quickly today. This committee has probably one of the second highest bill rates of any committee. We have very few meetings. As a result, we use our clock for public hearings. If you're out there today and you care passionately on one of these subjects and you've got written comments, those comments are to be turned in to the staff, but please don't read your written comments. We would like to hear what comes from your heart, but not necessarily what you have to read. Oftentimes, we will use 5 and 7 minute clocks on items, and if you decide to take up 2 minutes, then there's a lot of people that are not going to be able to speak, and that's just the way it is. I'll let you know that Senator Locke and Senator Howell and Senator Lucas and I have talked on that side, and also on this side, Senator Black and Senator Carrico have talked, and whether this is someone that something like a pro-life bill you feel strongly about or a pro-choice bill, your clock is the same. We're going to work our way through that. The next item is today. We are going to end this meeting at 11:05 sharp. We're going to do 11:05 instead of 11:25 because there is some ethics training going on somewhere in this building. So that's the way it is. If you're unhappy about the clock, you can share that to me. I'll take responsibility for it, but it is by agreement. To start off, we're going to get some committee reports, but we're going to make sure we move some things around. First, there's Senate Bill 1544, which is by Senator Serville, that was sent to this committee by mistake. And I would like to have a motion to re-refer that bill to courts. This motion is second that Senate Bill 1544 be re-referred to courts. All those in favor record your votes aye. Those opposed, no. And the clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 15, no zero.
Ayes 15, no zero. The bill is re-referred. To the committee, I would just like you to bring your attention quickly to Senate Bill 1617, which is a Virginia Tech bill that Frank Ruff is carrying. This is one we need up in finance quickly. So, Mr. Ruff, if you don't mind giving us the thoughts on this bill, and then if they're so inclined to pass the bill, we would send it up upstairs. I think this relates to the Amazon issue. So, Mr. Ruff, good morning.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is the education portion of what is called the Amazon package of two bills. One of the reasons that Virginia was successful is we committed to the education portion because we understood we already needed a lot more high-tech IT, computer, all that realm of education. We were already short in those roles. What the bill does is it sets up a tech talent pipeline for higher education. It is not just Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech's campus near the site is certainly a part of it, but it allows any of our higher ed institutions that want to focus on those skills to be part of it. There will be a review committee that will decide whether that university is prepared and ready to teach those courses before it funds them. It is a very complicated bill because it's going to have to set up a fund that those universities can draw from, and we can assign those dollars to each university as needed.
Well, Frank, just a couple of quick questions. Sure. The bill, as it was being created, I think had its goals to be reached by 2039, and we were hoping to have about 25,000 degrees. Is it still kind of track some of that information that we had earlier in the bill?
It tracks the MOU with Amazon as to when they need them. It was not exclusive for Amazon, but certainly that's the driving force.
Okay. And it's still, Mr. Ruff, still able to receive the grants and other institutions' donations that come into it to help with it. Is that correct, sir?
Yes, there is still some language that has to be added to it, and we're not, in
Okay.
April in Finance will be doing that.
Well, Frank, thank you. Mr. Ruff, thank you for all the work you've done on this. I know it's been extraordinary. So are there those that are here to speak in favor of the bill?
There are plenty to speak in favor, but you will hear them in Finance also, but if
Okay,
they want.
we'll just be brief and to see if they're, hey, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Fran Bradford, Deputy Secretary of Education. I think he has said it all. I'm happy to answer any questions, either here or upstairs.
Okay.
But yeah, thank you. The administration obviously supportive of this
Okay.
legislation.
Any questions to the Deputy Secretary? All right, are there others here to speak in favor? Kind of briefly, I think we're on a good track with this, but yeah,
Correct.
welcome.
Scott McGarry, Washington Gas, we support the bill. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Anyone else speak in favor? Are there those that have some concerns about the bills, that being Senate Bill 1617? If not, is there a motion related to the bill and to finance? All right, there's a motion and a second that the bill be reported and referred to finance. All those in favor will record your votes aye. Those opposed, no. Sasslaw. And the clerk will close the roll.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Ruff.
Yeas 14, nays 0.
Okay. 14-0, the bill is reported. Thank you for working your way through that. Senator Carrico, would you mind, sir, if we took up your subcommittee first? I know you have an enormous number of bills there.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and members of the committee. The bills that we heard in subcommittee, first was Senate Bill 1021, which was Senator Black's. And on the recommendation of the patron, we recommended to strike the bill at his request, and I'd so move.
There's a motion and a second that Senate Bill 1021 be stricken. All those in favor record your votes aye. Those opposed, no. And the clerk will close the roll.
Next was Senate Bill
But
1140.
let me just make sure we get it reported, the count. Ayes 14, no 0. Very good, thank you. Senator Carrico.
Next was Senate Bill 1141. This is Senator Favola's bill. This is dealing with family life education and implementing a portion additional information in that education to the curriculum of age-appropriate elements of human trafficking, and it was recommended to report 4-0, and I'd so move.
There's a motion and a second that Senate Bill 1141 be reported. All those in favor record the votes aye. Those opposed, no. We good, clerk? Madam Clerk, I don't know if everyone was ready, so maybe we'll strike the board. We'll try again. Is there an amendment necessary?
10 pages.
Okay, so
1141. Yeah.
Okay, you ready to go?
Yep, very good.
All right, there's a motion and a second that the bill be reported. All those in favor will record your votes aye. Those opposed, no. And the clerk will close the roll.
Yeas 14, nays 0.
14-0, the bill's reported. Senator Carrico.
Next was Senator Favola's 1142, and this is dealing with a state school health advisory committee. And it requires the board to establish a school health advisory committee consisting of no more than 20 non-legislative citizens, and to advise the board and the governor and General Assembly the role of employees in public elementary and secondary schools to provide health care services to those schools and training associated to delivery of that. It was recommended to report on a 4-0 vote, and I'd so move.
Okay, there's a motion and a second that Senate Bill 1142 be reported. All those in favor record your votes aye. Those opposed, no. And the clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 14, nays 0.
14-0, the bill is reported. Senator Carrico.
All right, next was Senator Black's bill, 1159. This is another requirement of curriculum offered to elementary school, middle school, and high school to incorporate age-appropriate elements of effects of evidence-based programs on harmful physical and emotional effects of a female genital mutation. So it was associated with criminal penalties and rights of the victims under civil actions. And it was reported from committee on a 3-0 vote, and I'd so move.
Senate Bill 1159, a motion and a second that the bill be reported. All those in favor record your votes aye. Those opposed, no. And the clerk will close the roll.
Yeas 14, nays 0.
14-0, the bill is reported. Senator Carrico.
Next, another Senator Black bill, SB 1275. This was dealing with junior reserve ROTC programs, allowing students receiving home instructions to be able to participate in those programs. And the bill prohibits any school board from requiring any such student to enroll on a full or part-time basis into the school in order to take the program. And there was a lot of testimony from both sides, and it was recommended to report on a 3-2 vote, and I would so move.
Okay, there's a motion and a second that Senate Bill 1236 be reported. All those in favor record your vote aye. Sorry, 1275. All those in favor record your votes aye. Those opposed, no.
Sorry.
I have 1236 on mine, but. Okay, well, the clerk will close the roll. Yeah.
I was explaining 1275, Senator Black's, yeah.
Yeas 9, nays 5.
9-5. Let me just back up, everybody. This one was 1275. Does everyone feel comfortable with that? It was 1275? Okay.
Yeah.
Senator Cosgrove, do you have now 1236?
No, 1236 is Senator DeSteff's bill, and I think there's some changes that was wanting to be made to that bill. This is the bill that requires equal access to education employee associations and professional educator liability insurance providers, open access to any of those that are equal or they can provide educators with liability insurance to be able to do so in the school systems that they're not able to pick and choose who they want to be there. It was recommended that by the committee to report on 3-2, but according to council, there were some changes that were being offered, and Senator DeSteff here is to explain those if you would like to hear.
Good morning, Mr. DeSteff. We are not going to hear the bill, but if you want to just tell us what the substitute does, that would be helpful.
Morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I'd be happy to do that. The substitute basically pulls out the insurance requirement, and it changes it to the school system and school board will recommend that there are choices between the educational associations that they can choose from. And I believe we have support of some of those who were against it in the subcommittee meeting, as well as the full support of the other groups that were originally in support of it. So this is a compromise amongst the groups.
Perfect.
I'd move the substitute.
There's a motion and a second that the substitute be agreed to. All those in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. And the substitute's agreed to. Having heard that, is there a motion on the bill as amended?
Mr. Chair,
Senator Peterson.
can
yes,
I
sir.
ask a question? I wasn't
Yes,
in
sir.
that. I mean, these education employee associations, I assume, are private entities. So are we telling them what to do, or what exactly are we doing here?
No,
What we're doing is when the teachers come in for new teacher orientation, we're saying that there's not just the Virginia Education Association. There are other education associations, and you can pick and choose which one you want to join. We're not limiting it to just one, and we're opening up access to all of the education associations. We're saying you can't just say, it's either this one or none. You have to provide all of the education associations for choice. So it's about freedom of choice.
Okay,
follow
Senator
up.
Peterson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The only mandate we're making is to the schools, not to the associations.
Correct. There's no mandate to an association at all.
Great. Ms. Peterson, does that complete your question? Okay. There's a motion and a second that the bill as amended be reported. All those in favor record your vote aye. Those opposed, no. And the clerk will close the roll.
Yeas 8, nays 4.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, thank you very much.
8-4, the bill is reported. Senator Carrico.
1269 is Senator Cosgrove's bill, and he's asked for that to go by for the day, and I'd so move.
Motion is second that the bill go by for the day. Without objection, the bill will go by for the day. Senator Cosgrove.
Senator Sproul's bill, 1295, there was a second bill, which was Senator Marsden's bill, 1056, that we rolled into 1295, and I'd so move to roll SB 1056 into SB 1295.
Okay. There's a motion and second that the bill be rolled together. All those in favor will record your votes aye. Those opposed, no. Clerk will close the roll.
Yeas 14, nays 0.
14-0, the bills are rolled together. Senator Carrico.
Okay, this is dealing with requiring the school boards to develop and implement a policy to prohibit the use and distribution of tobacco products and nicotine vapor products on school buses, school property, or at on-site or off-site school sponsor activities. It allows them to develop this policy to prohibit that for students and anyone at those sites, and it was recommended to report on a 3-to-1 vote. And since I was the one no vote, I'm.
Second. So motion is second that the bill be reported. All those in favor will record your votes aye. Those opposed, no. And the clerk will close the roll.
Yeas 11, nays 3.
11-3, the bill is reported. Senator Carrico.
That completes the report, Mr. Chairman.
I think we have
I'm sorry.
1397,
Did I skip one?
diversity.
Oh, I'm sorry. 1397, Senator Peak's bill. And I think there might be an amendment to that.
All right, clerk will report the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There's an amendment wasn't heard in subcommittee on line 60 after assessments, insert or meeting alternative evaluation standards. And line 61 introduced after the stricken education strike or meeting alternative evaluation standards as set forth in subsection F.
I'd move that amendment.
This motion is second that the amendment be agreed to. All those in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. And the amendment's agreed to. Senator Carrico.
Mr. Chairman, this is the teacher licensure criteria bill that requires the Board of Education to issue license to individuals seeking initial licensure who has not completed the professional assessment prescribed by the board. There was a lot of people. I have to give it to Senator Peak on this one. I had never seen so many people in agreement with the bill at that meeting, and there was a lot of testimony. I think that this is something that the education organizations and educators are completely behind, and it was recommended that we report 5-0.
This motion is second that Senate Bill 1397 be reported as amended. All those in favor will record your votes aye. Those opposed, no. And the clerk will close the roll.
Yeas 14, nays 0.
14-0, the bill is reported. Senator Carrico, that completes your report, sir. All right. I think what we'll do is, Senator Suderline, do you mind taking up your and Senator Donovan's subcommittee, please?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Senator Donovan and my Senate Education Health Professions report is as follows. On Senate Bill 1167, came to us from Senator Chafin. That has a line amendment that deals, what the bill itself does is prohibit the providing of medical services involving opioids to a medical recipient or to a Medicaid recipient without involving Medicaid. This is often to pill mills.
Right.
The line amendments include the notification pieces, so I'd first like to move adoption of the amendments.
Okay. All right, there's a motion and a second that the committee amendments be agreed to. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no, and the amendments are agreed to. Senator Suderline.
And so with that bill amended, we took a lot of testimony, and we recommended report on a 5-0 vote.
Okay, there's a motion and a second that that bill be reported for the, I don't know if Senator Carrico's here, but maybe a little long overdue. Well done in the subcommittee getting it right, so well done on that. There's a motion and a second that Senate Bill 1167 as amended be reported. All those in favor record your votes aye. Those opposed, no. And the clerk will close the roll.
Yeas 15, nays 0.
15-0, the bill is reported. Senator Suderline.
Senate Bill 1209 from Senator Peake, that had a substitute that we all agreed to. I would move the committee substitute.
There's a motion and a second that the substitute be reported. All those in favor will say aye. Aye. Opposed, no, and the substitute's reported. Senator Suderline.
And so what the bill does is it's about patient care team with podiatrists and physician assistants involved with that. This was something that folks were unanimously in agreement about, including the administration, and we recommended reporting the substitute on a 6-0 vote.
All right, there's a motion and a second that the bill, that being 1209, be reported as amended and substitute. All those in favor will record your vote aye. Those opposed, no. And the clerk will close the roll.
Yeas 15, nays 0.
15-0, the bill is reported. For those of you in the audience, these bills, most of us and staff have gone over them. They've been going over in subcommittee. They've been heard and vetted there. So if you're wondering why we're moving along, that's the purpose. Senator Suderline. Dave, before you do that, I was told twice now to tell people that the other room has been open. So if anyone is standing here or having trouble standing here, the overflow room is up and operating and has plenty of room over there. So if you'd like to go over there, you're welcome to. It's simply on the other side of this wall. Senator Suderline.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senate Bill 1289 came to us from Senator Edwards. This deals with the seizure of controlled substances and prescriptions. The bill provides procedures and requirements for the transfer and disposal of those substances. One of the most significant parts of it was how long they must hold these items. Current law is 6 months. It moved from 60 days. We had a good discussion about this bill, just making sure everyone understood what it did, and everyone was in agreement, and we recommended report on a 6-0 vote.
Okay. There's a motion and a second that Senate Bill 1289 be reported. All those in favor will record your votes aye. Those opposed, no. And the clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 15, nays 0.
15-0, the bill is reported. Senator Suderline.
Senate Bill 1405 came to us from Senator Dance. It just allows a pharmacist to include information regarding the proper disposal of medicine when giving counsel to a person who presents a new prescription for filling. We recommended report 6-0 just as it came, so I would so move that.
Okay. There's a motion and a second that Senate Bill 1405 be reported. All those in favor will record your vote aye. Those opposed, no. And the clerk will close the roll.
Yeas 15, nays 0.
15-0, the bill is reported. Senator Suderline.
Senate Bill 1518 came to us from Senator Carrico. Has lots to do, it's addressing the opioid crisis. And a lot of folks are working on it. We just don't, it's so complicated, we don't think we'll be able to get it to where it needs to be this year on this specific bill, but encourage a lot of folks to talk to Senator Carrico about it. He asked that we strike this bill at his request, and we agreed to that on a 6-0 vote, so I'd so move that.
Motion is second that the bill, that being 1518, be stricken from the calendar. All those in favor record your vote aye. Those opposed, no. And the clerk will close the roll.
Yeas 15, nays 0.
15-0, the bill is stricken. Senator Suderline, does that complete your report, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, guys, what we'll do next is Senator Cosgrove, do you mind taking up your report, sir?
I'd be happy to, sir. Thank you. Mr. Chairman, we heard Senate Bill 1283 from Senator Barker. This bill requires a state medical facilities plan task force to review their plan every 2 years instead of every 4 years. With the advent of newer technologies, we think it's probably a good idea to reduce the amount of time between revisions. So it was a motion 4-0 to report, and I so move.
Senator Barker, do you mind if we send this to finance? They kind of like to look at this, so the motion would include that.
Absolutely, sir.
There's a motion and a second that Senate Bill 1283 be reported and re-referred to finance. All those in favor record your vote aye. Those opposed, no. And the clerk will close the roll.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeas 15, nays 0.
15-0, the bill is reported and re-referred. Senator Cosgrove.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have Senate Bill 1439 and Senate Bill 1493, which are identical. The recommendation of the subcommittee was to roll my bill 1493 into Senator McClellan's bill 1439, and I'd make that motion at this time.
There's a motion and a second that we roll the bills together. All those in favor record your votes aye. Those opposed, no. The clerk will close the roll.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I believe there are a
Ayes
couple.
15, nays 0.
There you go. Go. Okay, Senator Cosgrove.
I believe there are a couple of amendments to this bill. If we could get the staff to report the
Yes, sir.
amendments.
Tom, will you report the amendments?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senator Cosgrove, the subcommittee heard 4 amendments on line 64 after physician, insert who is not. On line 64 after license, strike in another state, insert by the Board of Medicine. On line 65 after death, insert a physician described in Clause 8 who completes a certificate in accordance with this subsection shall not be required to register with the electronic death registration system or complete the certificate electronically. And line 142 after the code reference, insert, however, failure to complete and file a medical certification electronically using the electronic death registration system in accordance with the requirements of subsection C of section 32.1-263 shall not constitute unprofessional conduct if such failure was the result of a temporary technological or electrical failure or other temporary extenuating circumstance that prevented the electronic completion and filing of the medical certification using the electronic death registration system.
All right, thank you. Senator Cosgrove, I just haven't heard these amendments. Do you mind just giving us a brief explanation of the amendments?
Certainly, Mr. Chairman. Basically, what the amendments do is it allows this. First off, the bill requires that the use of the electronic death registration system. The amendments will, put in exceptions if there's electrical outages and that type of thing.
Okay.
So basically, last year we had a very, very similar bill that I carried that basically established using the electronic death registration system, but this bill will require it for people who are providing death certificates.
Okay.
So it was a unanimous recommendation to report, and I so
Move the amendment.
move the amendments. I'm sorry. Thank you.
So there's a motion and a second that the amendments that Tom just read be agreed to. All those in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The amendments are agreed to. Senator Cosgrove.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. With those amendments intact, I will move the amended bill to pass.
There's a motion and a second that the amended bill be reported. All those in favor record your vote aye. Those opposed, no. Clerk will close the roll.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeas 15, nays 0.
15-0, the bill is reported, and you had one more that you're going to have it passed by, is that right?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Sorry to try to get in front of you all the time here.
Okay.
Senate Bill 1366, that bill has some folks that want to speak to it that we're not aware was coming to subcommittee, so I'd ask that go by for the day.
All right. Without opposition, Senate Bill 1366 will go by for the day.
And that completes my report, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Cosgrove, thank you for your work.
Yes, sir.
So if it's okay with the committee, I think we are going to to go now to Senator Locke and Senator McClellan and Senator Bosco. You have what is Senate Bill 1054, Senate Bill 1451, and Senate Bill 1637. It, Senator Locke, I'll kind of leave this up to you, ma'am. If you want to take yours first, we can do that. I do think that, is McClellan's bill the broader one in this case, Tom? Yes. Okay, so if you don't, Senator, I'll do whatever you want to do. Would you like to hear these comments together, or would you like to keep them very separate? I'll do whatever you'd like to do. Tom, is it 1054 and 1451? These two are similar? So both of them, I don't know if you've seen, but both 1451 and 1054, which is McClellan and Locke's, those are similar, if you guys would like to do that. And then the bill by Senator Bosco is different enough to maybe take that one separately, right? So if I don't know if Senator McClellan is here yet or not. So Senator, why don't you go ahead and talk about your bill, and then if we can get Senator McClellan down, we will certainly hear her as well. So welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senate Bill 1054 would remove subsections B and C of Section 18.2-76 of the Code of Virginia, which provides detailed requirements of conducting ultrasounds prior to abortion procedures. It would remove the requirements to receive a sonogram 24 hours prior to an abortion for the purpose of determining gestational age. It will remove the requirements to offer the patient an opportunity to view their ultrasound image, receive a copy of the image, and hear the fetal heart tones prior to an abortion. It would also remove the requirement that VDAH publish a list of public and private agencies and services that provide ultrasound imaging and auscultation of fetal heart tone services free of charge. So essentially, it would remove the requirement that a woman undergo a fetal transabdominal ultrasound prior to an abortion. It simply repeals this section of the code.
Senator Locke, thank you very much. In the absence of Senator McClellan, we'll just take these up separately. Both these patrons care deeply about their bills. So let's hear from those that are in support of Senator Locke's bill, which is 1054. And Ms. Locke, as we've talked before, we're going to just set a timer on that, and we will hopefully get all the testimony on this one and the other one. So welcome. We appreciate you coming by. We're going to put a 5-minute clock on both sides, and we'll just start with you.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Gina Berger, Deputy Secretary, Health and Human Resources. The administration does strongly support the bill.
Great, thank you. Very good. Senator McClellan, your bill and Senator Locke's bill are similar. Yours is a bit broader. Would you mind if she just went ahead and explained her bill? She's been working on this a while. Do you mind explaining your bill and the difference between yours and Senator Locke's? And we'll hear testimony, and then we'll vote on both. So welcome.
Yes, and I apologize. The elevator was very slow. So Senate Bill 1451 does also repeal the mandatory ultrasound requirement in the case of an abortion, but it also repeals the 24-hour waiting period, the second trimester hospital requirement, the trap laws, and the requirement that 2 physicians are required to be present for a third trimester abortion. And the reason for the bill is all of these requirements are medically unnecessary. All of these requirements also put restrictions in the way of one medical procedure, singling it out, and distinct from other medical procedures, some that are actually more dangerous or invasive than an abortion. Last year, I had a similar bill that was even broader, so this one is not quite as broad as last year's. We focused on these medically unnecessary requirements. And you may recall last year I shared with you some stories that when I was pregnant, my OB shared with me about how our abortion laws impact pregnancies that that go terribly wrong. And in many of those cases, and you may recall some of those stories, I'll just share one. There was a woman who had a hole in her heart, was on birth control, but got pregnant anyway, had to make the very difficult decision whether to terminate her pregnancy or risk her life. I shared many such stories with you last year. And what, unfortunately, these requirements also apply to those abortions. And I think of a friend of mine who in the 7th month of her pregnancy, her suffered fetal demise, had to undergo a DNC. And I think about her, if she then had to have another ultrasound, be asked, do you want to look at it? Do you want to listen for a heartbeat that's not there? Or some of these other requirements, how that would make her feel, particularly when they're unnecessary. The way the ultrasound bill is written, it requires a abdominal ultrasound. In the case of first trimester ultrasounds, which is when the majority of abortions do occur, that abdominal ultrasound is useless. Again, when I was pregnant and had my first ultrasound, they couldn't see anything because it was too early in the pregnancy. And so you're not really going to see anything until later. So for most of the abortions that occur, not only is it medically unnecessary, it's useless. And then again, in most later term abortions, they're occurring because something very horrible went wrong with that pregnancy. So putting these additional steps in the way, that shouldn't be something that government decides. That should be something that the physician, in consultation with their parents, with the parents or the family, based on the standard of care in the medical community, should decide. And so that's why I put forth the bill.
Well done, thank you. And at the end, Ms. Locke, if you don't mind, we'll let both of you wrap up then, okay? So with that, we will go back. We did begin to hear testimony, but we will hear testimony from those that are in favor and those that are in opposition. Welcome, and if you would not read your testimony, but just tell us what's on your heart, that would be helpful. Welcome.
Hi, my name is Kristen Glykoff, and my senator is Chet Peterson. So in high school, when I was a sophomore, my classmate asked me for money to help her get an abortion, but no matter how hard we tried, we couldn't get enough. She had no other option but to tell her unsupportive parents, and they forced her to drop out of high school because of it. Now I'm graduating and she's working on getting her GED. If more qualified providers could perform abortions, perhaps we could have traveled less expensively to a closer healthcare center. If the second trimester abortions weren't limited to hospitals, maybe we could have saved longer and given her more time. If she didn't have to make multiple appointments, maybe we could have raised enough money to actually help. This bill will help remove those restrictions that made it impossible for my friend to act on her choice. There will be others like her, and we need to stop it. Thank you.
First, thank you very much. Thanks for coming today. Welcome, yes.
Hello, I am here with the Latina Advocacy Network of Virginia, and I just wanted to say that we support the 3 separate bills that are being proposed in relation to healthcare, reproduction healthcare services, and that we strongly support these bills and that we think that they should be continued on to the next step. Thank you.
Great, well done. Thank you for coming. Yes, ma'am, welcome.
Hello, my name is Naisha McCormick. I'm 22 years old and I'm a student. It's difficult to find healthcare as a student, especially with me being on my father's family plan. He's our breadwinner and I'm about to age out, which is really unfortunate. I haven't had a primary physician since I aged out of being able to go to my pediatrician. And Planned Parenthood is there to support me and my community because they provide compassion, and I walk into a community of people who aren't going to judge me for the needs that I need to receive. Planned Parenthood is a key provider of healthcare that is safe, legal, and vital to community health. And I'm asking the committee to vote yes on the SB 1451 to ensure that access to necessary reproductive health care does not depend on an individual's zip code or economic status. And me just being a strong Black woman who depends on being able to make my own decisions for myself, I ask that you grant me that right to determine what's best for me, and this bill is what's best for me. Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Yes, welcome.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. My name is Tarina Keene. I am the Executive Director of NARAL Pro-Choice Virginia, and we support both Senator Lott's and Senator McClellan's bill this morning. I also have testimony I'd like to submit.
Yep,
Thank
Tom
you.
will take it. Thank you for coming today. Yes, welcome. We've got about 2 minutes. We want to hear from everyone, so welcome.
Good morning. My name is Missy Wezolowski. I'm the Executive Director of Planned Parenthood Advocates of Virginia, and we support these bills.
Well,
Thank you.
Thank you for coming today. Yes, ma'am, welcome.
Good morning. My name is Nicole Tortorello. I'm the Secular Society Women's Rights Advocacy Council at the ACLU of Virginia, and we support these bills. Thank you.
Great. Thank you for coming. Yes, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. My name is Jonathan Iglesias. I'm with the Virginia Sexual and Domestic Violence Action Alliance. We obviously work with survivors of sexual violence and their advocates statewide, rape crisis centers. On behalf of survivors, we support eliminating barriers to abortion access when that's necessary. Thank you.
Well, thanks for coming. Yes, ma'am, welcome.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Nicole Pugar-Lauder, represent the American Congress of Obstetricians and Gynecologists, and we support this bill. Thank you.
You
For
support
both bills.
both bills. Perfect. Yes. Hi, welcome.
Good morning. My name is Nicole Liberatore. I'm from Annandale, Virginia, and as somebody who has loved ones who have had abortions, I ask that you please support these bills. Thank
Great.
you.
Thanks for coming. Yes, ma'am.
Hello, Tanisha White from Richmond City, and I support these bills.
Well, thank you for coming. Yes, ma'am. Hello?
Good morning. Rebecca Gottwalt, Fairfax, Virginia, and I strongly support.
Thanks for coming. Yes, ma'am. Hello?
Beverly Latolati from Prince William County, and I support both bills.
Great. Well done. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
My name is Hannah Weirs. I'm from James City County, and I ask that you please support these bills.
Okay, thank you.
Morning, my name is Casey Chavez from Fairfax, Virginia. I please ask you to support these bills.
Well, thanks for coming. Yes, ma'am.
Hello, my name is Michelle Wooten. I'm from Newport News, Virginia, and I ask if you would please support these bills.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Well done. They did it in time, didn't they? Well done. That's great. Good. So with that, those that have some concerns about the bill, we're going to put you on the same clock. Welcome. Thanks for coming today.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I'm Victoria Cobb, president of the Family Foundation. Senate Bill 1451. Again, we're back here this year with the entire wish list of everything the abortion industry could want to increase volume and profit, with little concern about the emotional and physical harm that is being done to women, and certainly no concern about the destruction of unborn life. To address the informed consent statute, remember, this bill doesn't just wipe out a woman's ability to see an ultrasound, which we think is incredibly important. It wipes out the entire informed consent section. And as someone who is standing here having had a missed ectopic pregnancy, knowing I'm happy to be alive, happy to be able to have had more children, and really supportive of ultrasounds, because that is how we find these things. We don't want to be in a position of harming women by not letting them see this ultrasound, making sure that it continues to happen. I also want to mention this removes the entire set of safety standards out of our code. Here's the thing you might not realize. You've heard me talk about the hundreds of violations that they've had, blood on the equipment, mishandling of narcotics, everything that we've found during these inspections. But the bigger issue of why they're actually here is that these standards are being stripped out of the code because the abortion industry knows that the Board of Health's effort to illegally water down the regulations is about to be upended by a judge. Just yesterday in Henrico Circuit Court, I watched Judge Marshall drill the Attorney General's attorney who was representing the Board of Health as to why he felt it was permissible to ignore the entire APA process in their overly zealous efforts to do an end run around this law. So that's why they're trying to strike this out. And I just wanted to make you aware of that. The most egregious portion of this larger bill is that it vastly widens the currently narrow rationale where our law allows third trimester abortion, no longer requiring that you have to have physical or mental health be substantially or irremediably impaired, and you don't have to have the concurrence of multiple doctors. So this is essentially abortion on demand up until the point of birth, and that is a tremendous policy change. Sadly, this bill, what we've known all along, which is there's no effort to have safety, there's no effort to care about the emotional state of a woman, and we just think that's incredibly disappointing.
Thank you for coming. Yes, ma'am. Welcome.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Felicia Preissner, Associate Director with the Virginia Catholic Conference. We also oppose both these bills. The Virginia Catholic Conference supports maintaining strong informed consent laws in Virginia that provide every woman with the best and most complete information prior to making a life and death decision for her unborn child. Conducting an ultrasound is important to determine the gestational age of the fetus, of the baby, unborn baby, important information necessary to inform the decision of the mother. Whenever undergoing a medical treatment, it is routine to undergo diagnostic testing to inform the best and safest option for the patient. The policy helps provide the best information and services to the pregnant woman. We also oppose eliminating the important common sense health and safety standards that protect women. Thank you.
Great, thank you for coming. If you will, if you have prepared remarks, Tom will help us out with them, but I know if you just share what you have on your heart. So welcome.
Yeah. Good morning. My name is Louise Hartz, a resident of Henrico County, Virginia, and representing the Virginia Society for Human Life. We oppose these bills. We support life. Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming. With that, I think on all accounts, we did well. Are there any discussion with the committee? If not, is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman.
Senator Carrico.
I'd like to make the motion to move and roll Senate Bill 1054 into Senate Bill 1451. It appears that Senate Bill 1451 is a broader language than 1054, and even though 1054 is the lower number, I would make the motion that we roll it into.
All right, there's a motion and a second that we roll what is 1054 into 1451. All those in favor will record your votes aye. Those opposed, no. Ms. Locke, are you in favor of that? Ms. Locke, are you okay with that on the vote? No? No? Okay. All right, and the clerk will close the roll.
Yeas 13, nays 0.
All right, 13-0. Now, if you don't mind, I'd like the committee to hear a sum up from Senator Locke and Senator McClellan before we actually have a motion on the bill. If you'd like to provide any more comment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't think anybody in this room, certainly not Senator McClellan or me, are opposed to life. Abortion services are and should be subject to the same informed consent requirements as other medical care, but should not be subject to special barriers created simply to impede access to a woman's personal and private pregnancy decisions. The ultrasound, the transabdominal ultrasound legislation violate the basic tenets of informed consent and delay a woman's ability to access safe, legal abortion care by requiring multiple trips to a clinic for no other reason than to allow, I lost my place, than to allow access to safe, legal abortion care by requiring these multiple trips to show the state's disapproval of a woman's personal, constitutionally protected medical decision. What these bills would do, or what this bill, now that they've been rolled together, would be to restore dignity to Virginia's informed consent laws governing abortion. This bill recognizes that after receiving medically appropriate counseling and information from her physician or healthcare provider, it is not in the patient's best interest to force her to receive additional non-medical information, wait an unnecessary state-imposed period of time, or undergo an unnecessary ultrasound procedure if she and her doctor do not believe such actions would add to her ability to make an informed medical decision. Women know what they're doing. They're smart enough to know what they're doing, and they don't need the state government to tell them what to do.
Okay, thank you very much. Senator McClellan, welcome. If you want to sum up as well, then.
Thank you. Only one medical procedure is in the criminal code. Only one medical procedure has criminal violations if you stray from the narrow window that criminal code allows that medical procedure to be performed under. Hospitals and other medical providers have a whole host of regulations on them to deal with health and safety. I had my first colonoscopy this year, and it was not fun, but I encourage everyone, especially if you have a history of colon cancer, to have one. I got the longest informed consent. I learned all of the dangers, and there are all kinds of regulations to make sure that I came out of that alive. And most people don't realize the risks that come with a colonoscopy. We didn't need a criminal statute for my provider to do what was necessary to keep me safe. My husband had spinal fusion surgery, much more dangerous than an abortion. His provider did not need a criminal statute regulating how that surgery would be provided. And so this is not really about safety. It's about what is the standard of care for a medical procedure. And that standard of care should be regulated outside of the criminal code. This is also about, you don't get to the 3rd trimester and seek an abortion lightly. You don't get to the 3rd trimester and wake up and say, I've changed my mind. You seek an abortion because something has gone horribly wrong. Either your life is in danger, either that pregnancy is not going to end well, and putting restrictions in place, the practical implications have been that for lower income women, it is much harder for them to do what they find medically necessary than well-off women. That is the practical reality of a lot of these restrictions. And some of the restrictions, the practical reality is your insurance won't cover it. So what we have not restricted abortion per se. We have restricted abortion for those who already have a difficult time accessing quality, safe health care. It's time to stop.
Great. With that, is any questions by the committee? If not, is there a motion on the bill, which is now Senate Bill 1451? So motion is second that Senate Bill 1451 be reported. All those in favor will record your votes aye. Those opposed, no. Make sure we get Sasslaw. And the clerk will close the roll.
Yeas 7, nays 8.
The bill fails to report. Without opposition, we'll flip the vote to the PPI. All right, with that, I think that Senator Bosco, you were kind enough to wait a while on your bill, which is 1637. Would you like to present your bill, please?
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, before I get started, I would like to request respectfully that SB 1637 be referred to the Courts of Justice Committee. This is actually an amendment to the Human Rights Act. No, okay.
No, we like you, but we're going to keep it here.
Okay, great. Well, I'll happily present it. Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, today I am presenting SB 1637, which would ensure the human right of all Virginians to control their own reproductive health. Each of us has taken an oath to protect the Constitution, and more than 45 years ago, the Supreme Court recognized the constitutional right to privacy extends to a woman's right to make her own medical decisions, including the decision to have an abortion, without interference from politicians. In the current political environment, access to reproductive health care is in jeopardy nationwide. Given this, it is important that the Virginians here provide for the preservation of these fundamental reproductive rights, including the right to choose or to refuse contraception or sterilization, and the right to choose to carry or terminate a pregnancy. And let me clarify, SB 1637 does not change the current law at all. Specifically, it does not change code regarding to certain already banned procedures. Comprehensive reproductive health care, including contraception and abortion, is a vital component of women's overall health care, and it is a vital human right. Virginia women, families, and communities benefit when women have access to the full range of reproductive services. Contraception is critical to building and maintaining equality by gender in education and in the workforce. Family planning and access to contraception have been causally linked to 1/3 of the female wage gains since the 1960s. Access to birth control is the most influential factor in enabling women to stay in higher education. Similarly, access to abortion is a core component of social and economic equality for women. Safe and legal abortion drastically reduces healthcare risks related to pregnancy termination. SB 1637 codifies current national rights to abortion into Virginia state law to ensure that reproductive rights of Virginians are dependable and secure and no longer in danger from changing political tides nationally. With me today, I have a representative of NARAL Pro-Choice Virginia, Galina Varchena, here with me, and she's happy to answer any specific questions you all might have.
Great.
I hope it is the pleasure of the committee to report 1637 to the Senate floor and to protect our human rights and reproductive rights of citizens in the Commonwealth. Thank you so much.
Well, well done, and welcome to the Senate.
Thank you
You're
so
a
much.
brand-new member. There are those that are here to speak in favor, and you had a person, we'll just put the clock. I don't know that we'll need it all, but glad to hear from your members. So welcome. Let me pause until they're ready. Did you have the particular person you wanted to speak first? Okay. You ready? Okay. Welcome. Go ahead.
Okay, Rebecca Gottwald again, Fairfax. Hi, Chap. When I was a teen, I fell pregnant and found myself in desperate need of abortion care. It was already hard enough to exercise the rights afforded to me by the Commonwealth at that time. Abortion care and birth control saved my life and made it possible for me to build a life that's productive and really good now. I get to come hang out with you guys. So we really need to protect the rights that we do have in Virginia, regardless of what happens at the federal level. So please, please support this.
Okay. Thanks for coming today. Yes, ma'am. Welcome.
Good morning. My name is Julie Turner, and I'm 49 years old. And 30 years ago this May, when I was 19, I had an abortion. The father was a seminarian. I was at a Catholic college and would have ruined his career. I was on my way into the Peace Corps. I was a straight A student. This was the most difficult decision that I've made in my life to this day, but it is a decision that is my decision, not a government decision. And I now have two beautiful young adult sons. I'm a novelist. I'm a paralegal for almost 20 years. I would not have had the capacity to keep a child at 19 years old. We are not cookie cutters. Women are not cookie cutters. Every situation is different. We have brains where we should be and must have the right to make that choice.
Great. Thanks for coming today. We have about 3 minutes and 20 seconds. Welcome. Thank you for coming.
Hi, my name is Galina Varchena, and I'm the Policy Director of NARAL Pro-Choice Virginia. NARAL Pro-Choice Virginia supports this bill. If you have any questions, happy to answer them, and I have 2 pieces of testimony to
Tom,
turn
will
in.
you guys accept their written comments? Thank you very much. Yes, ma'am. Welcome back. Yeah.
Good morning. Gina Berger, Deputy Secretary, Health and Human Resources. The administration does strongly support this bill. As Senator Boysko said, we see this not just as a women's issue, but an economic justice issue, and one that promotes having access to reproductive health care, comprehensive reproductive health care, is one that is deeply connected to promoting strong families. 46% of women in Virginia report that their pregnancy was unplanned. And we really think that whether the ability to choose whether and when to start a family has enormous implications for women's lives, health, and well-being, as well as that of their family. Thank you.
We're always pleased to hear from the governor. Thank you very much. Yes, welcome.
Hi, my name is Sarah Flores Shannon. I'm a field coordinator with the Virginia Latina Advocacy Network in Northern Virginia. We are a reproductive justice organization, which means that we understand that everyone has the right to have a child, the right to not have a child, and the right to parent their child in a safe and healthy environment. We support this piece of legislation and hope that you all do the same. Thank you so much.
Thank you. About 2 minutes left. Welcome. Hi.
Hi, good morning. My name is Margie Del Castillo. I'm here with the Virginia Latina Advocacy Network. I'm a mother. I live in Alexandria, and I fully support this bill, as does our network of Latinas in Northern Virginia. We face many restrictions on abortion access due to our cultural differences, linguistic needs, our geographic status, immigration status. So the more that we can protect our right to an abortion, we support that. Thank you.
Thank you. We've got about a minute and a half. I know some of in the back are nervous, so.
Nicole Tortorella with the ACLU of Virginia, and we support this bill.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well done. Yes. Hi, welcome. Yes, ma'am.
Missy Wesolowski with Planned Parenthood Advocates of Virginia, and we support this
Well,
bill.
thanks for coming today. Yes, ma'am. Hi.
Hi, Maria Ortiz from Fairfax City, Virginia, with the Virginia Latina Advocacy Network, and we support this bill.
You support the bills. Great. Thank you. Hi, welcome.
Hello, I'm here as a community organizer with the Latina Advocacy Network, the Virginia Latina Advocacy Network, and I'm here to say that today will be my 6th day on birth control. If you give women and people who need the access to reproductive health services a full range of access and options, then you give them the right to choose whether or not to, you give them a better health lifestyle, and so therefore preventing abortion in a much larger scale. And so that's why I think that providing this choice, this option, is just preventing people from being harmed and protecting women's rights and other people's rights to choose whether or not to carry the term. Thank you.
Great, good comments. Yes, got a couple seconds, and we'll just ask you to give your name and.
Okay. Hi, my name is Renata Thornton. I'm from Fairfax, Virginia, and I support this bill.
Perfect, good. Just name and.
Jonathan Glacius with the Virginia Sexual and Domestic Violence Action Alliance. We support this bill.
Thanks for your help. Yes, hi. Just give us your name. You waited a long time.
I support the bill.
Wow. Senator Bosco, that was pretty good. I've never seen it come down to that point, but well done. What we'll do now, if you're okay, is we'll hit some people that have some concerns about the bill, and then we'll come back to you, okay? So those that are concerned about the bill, if you don't mind, let me just stop that and start that. Come forward, state your name, and state your position on the bill, please.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, my name is Josh Hetzler on behalf of the Family Foundation. This term, fundamental right, is a term of great legal and constitutional import, as I think we all know. And let me give you some examples of some of those that are recognized as fundamental rights in Virginia constitutional law and the code. The right of every person to the enjoyment of life, liberty, the means of acquiring property, and the right to obtain and possess property without it being taken from the government without just compensation. Our code adds the fundamental right of the parent for the upbringing and raising of their child. These are basic, inviolable rights, right? But these are rights that are held significantly by each individual person. However, in the context of pregnancy, we know that there are at least 2 people involved. How then, it must be asked, is it possible to recognize fundamental rights of one at the direct expense of the other? And we would suggest that it is not possible. That's why we ask that you not support this bill. Thank you.
Great. Thanks for coming. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Felicia Preisner with the Virginia Catholic Conference. We also oppose this bill. This bill seeks to add the right to abortion to the Virginia Human Rights Act. How can taking the life of a child through abortion be considered a human right? These are 2 totally contradictory ideals. Furthermore, subsection C would likely result in legislation requiring taxpayer-funded abortions, the elimination of health and safety measures, and potentially legislation violating conscience rights. So there are many consequences contained within this. Thank you.
Great. If you have further comments, feel free to give them to Tom, too, because we'd love to hear all those. Welcome. Hi.
Hello,
Thanks for coming by.
Senators, my name is Olivia Gans Turner. I am the president of the Virginia Society of Human Life. I'm here today representing the unborn child who also has a right to life in our code, and therefore this experiment in establishing a right to end another person's life in the name of some obscure concept that women like myself who have had an abortion need the right to kill our children is something this body has the power to protect against, and I appreciate the efforts you have made in the past to continue in that direction. I applaud your effort today because I know that you will do the right thing and you will reject this bill. Women like myself deserve answers that respect our lives, our well-being, our security, and that does not include the unregulated opportunities for abortionists to cause harm to our own lives and well-being and our children. Thank you for your attention to this matter, and I appreciate what you're doing today.
Great. Thank you very much. We've got about 2 minutes. Welcome, sir.
Eddie Aliff, Executive Director for the Virginia Assembly of Independent Baptists, and for the reasons already been stated, I stand strongly against this bill. Thank you.
Great. Thank you for coming by. No one else cares to speak. Senator Bosco, we'd like to hear from you, if you don't mind, before we have a motion on the bill.
Absolutely. I want to thank you all for giving me the opportunity to present this bill today. I know this is a passionate issue for many people. I'm the daughter of an Episcopal priest who also is a pro-choice man. I understand that people have religious differences, but we're talking about a constitutional right that is protected under the United States Constitution. And today, I'm asking that we codify that in our own law. And I thank you, and hope it is the pleasure of the body to report the bill.
Great.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for coming today. Is there a motion on the bill? There's a motion and a second that the bill, that being 1637, be reported. All those in favor will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. And the clerk will close the roll.
Yea, 7, nays 8.
Yea, 7, nays 8, and without objection, the vote will be reversed and the bill will be PPI'd. Thank you, Senator Bosco. Thank you for coming. We appreciate that. Up next, we're going to go briefly to the sign-up sheet and take, I think that Senator McPike and the Serville bills are together. Is Senator Serville here? Stewart, I'm sorry, Stewart here? Sorry. No, we'll wait on that bill. Is Senator Chafin here? Senator Chafin, would you mind taking up, what bill do you have today before us?
Mr. Chairman, I have Senate Bill 1495.
Senate Bill 1495. All right, Senator Chafin,
Yes, sir. So, Mr.
Yeah, would you
Chairman,
go ahead and present your bill? Yes.
Yes, sir, thank you. This bill creates the Rural Information Technology Apprenticeship Program to help IT businesses in Southwest Virginia train IT workforces of the future. So our idea is to create an apprenticeship program to give IT graduates the opportunity for 18 months of on-the-job experience working under a seasoned mentor on real-world IT contracts. It's a public-private program, and in that the local small businesses would provide the experienced mentors and commit to hiring the apprentices after they complete the program. And that's the beauty of this. This is not just a workforce program, which we see a lot of, but this actually guarantees placement in that industry. And the program would be housed at the Higher Education Center in the Southwest Virginia Higher Education Center in Abingdon, Virginia, and it would be coordinated with the community colleges. And that's essentially it.
Good. This bill, we've gone over it quite extensively. I think it does need to go to finance. In case we're going to put a little cash with it, we'll need to do that. So is there anyone here to speak in favor of Senator Chafin's bill? Is there anyone here to speak in opposition to 1495? Hearing none, is there a motion on the bill, including finance? All right, there's a motion and a second that Senate Bill 1495 be reported and referred to finance. All those in favor will record your votes aye. Those opposed, no. And the clerk will close the roll.
Yeas 15, nays 0.
15-0. We'll see you upstairs. I think that's in good shape, but thank you,
Mr.
sir.
Chairman, members of the committee.
Okay, up next, do we have, we're going to take yours up, Senator Marsh, in just a minute. Do we have other non-DACA type bills? Because we're going to take those up in just a few minutes. Senator Bosco, do you have another bill here? Boysko, sorry. I think I may have mispronounced that twice.
Like
Boysko.
boys, K-O.
You're such a pretty lady. That boy was hard. So
It's my husband's name.
That's it.
Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, SB 1640 and Senator Marsden's bill, SB 1055, which I believe are the same, provide in-state tuition for all students intending or having applied for legal residence in Virginia. The goal of this bill is simple: to create economic opportunity and fairness for all hardworking students headed to college. Economic opportunity for Virginians means economic prosperity for the entire Commonwealth. Access to higher education is the key to earning higher wages, and research shows that a college education amounts to the increase of $2.7 million in lifetime earnings. People who earn more money will spend more money, which means a positive impact for our economy. And this effort is even supported in the Northern Virginia Chamber of Commerce because they know that economic benefit it will be for the Commonwealth. At the individual level, these are students who have grown up with our students. As of the 2017-2018 school year, there were over 1,300 DACA recipients attending Virginia's public educations of higher education, with the majority of these students, more than 900 of them, attending Virginia's community colleges. And I will point out that at community colleges, there are no enrollment limits on students. These students are not FAFSA eligible, nor are they able to receive any form of public financial assistance. They are paying for everything out of their own pockets, and they are willing to work hard to invest in themselves right now. And by granting these students the ability to pay in-state tuition, we're making it possible for these hardworking students to attend our colleges and universities, ultimately creating a more even playing field. As one of the students told me, we're not asking for free tuition. We're not asking for handouts. We're asking to be treated with the same privilege that our peers have to attend college at the same rate that they are. These are young people who are now and will continue to be critically important to our workforce. Virginia benefits when we provide these students with this opportunity to earn a college degree. There are over 27,000 job vacancies requiring an associate's degree open, and over 18,000 job vacancies requiring a bachelor's degree, and we need to educate our young people to fill these jobs. Having barriers to high education creates two separate classes of people, one with institutional advantage and the other without. I'm joined here this morning by a number of people, members from the Virginia Coalition of Immigrants, the Virginia Intercollegiate Immigration Alliance, NACASEC Virginia, the Office of the Attorney General, the Solicitor General's Office, and members of the Virginia Chamber of Commerce. And I hope it is the pleasure of the committee to report SB 1640 to the Senate floor.
Senator Boysko, thank you very much. Senator Marston, you have basically the same bill, and you talked about maybe rolling your bill into her at the end. Would you mind just giving your brief comments? I know you feel passionately about this as well. Do you mind just sharing with us your thoughts, and then we will combine the bills?
And for all the reasons, she stated, it's just in the Commonwealth's best interest. Throw out all the arguments about, people's lives and fairness and all these things. Just look at it just from the selfish point of view of a state who needs workers, who needs educated workers. Amazon just came into this state. We're going to need these folks to be educated, and providing them with the opportunity for in-state tuition is critical to that effort. And so, yes, I would ask that my bill be rolled into Senator Boysko's, and I would reiterate her request that you pass the bill.
So with that, given your request to roll the bills, Senator Carrico, do you have a motion on rolling the bills?
I do. Mr. Chairman, I would ask that we roll Senate Bill 1148, which is Senator Marston's bill, into Senate Bill 1640, Senator Boysko's bill.
Boysko. All right, we will roll those two. There's a motion and a second that the bills be rolled together. All those in favor record your votes aye. Those opposed, no. And the clerk will close the roll.
Mr. Chair.
Yeas 15, nays 0.
15-0, the bills are rolled together. Was there a question?
I have a question for the patrons.
Okay, very good. Yes.
My question is, obviously, there's been all sorts of litigation about people that want to qualify for in-state. Forget about the citizenship question, but people that don't reside in Virginia and want to qualify as in-state so they can go to UVA or Tech or William & Mary for an in-state rate. How does this interplay with that? I mean,
Yeah, thank you, Senator Peter. Great. The student would need to live here at least for one full year of residency, just like any other student who would be considered for in-state tuition.
okay, so in other words, this
Senator
matches
Peterson.
up with the, if I might, Mr. Chair, this matches up with the standards our university has for determining in-state.
Mr. Chairman, yes, it does.
All right.
Senator Peterson, complete your question, sir. All right, thank you both. We're going to have public hearing together. And so if those that are in favor of the bill, which is now Senate Bill 1640, would come forward, please, we will look forward to hearing from you. So some of you have just come into the room. Those of you who have just come into the room, there's a 5-minute clock, and if you don't mind, for all of you, if you don't mind, if you have prepared written remarks, if you would turn those prepared written remarks into staff, we'll get them to the members. If not, we'd just love to hear what you have on your heart. So with that, we'll begin. Welcome.
Good morning. I'm Lilla Wise, representing Arlington, Alexandria, and Falls Church Schools, and I've been before you on this issue many, many times. So I won't go into the emotional parts of it. I just want to tell you what the Virginia Commonwealth Club, no, University has said. Oh, Commonwealth Institute just did a report on what is the results of having the DACA kids in school. It says, the availability of state in-state tuition rates at public colleges and universities for Virginians provides a pathway to better jobs and opportunities that benefit students and the state economy. And looking to Virginia's experience over the last 4 years, it's clear that allowing Virginia students who have deferred action immigration status to pay in-state tuition does not create a cost burden to the state or result in overcrowded classrooms. And that's from the Commonwealth Institute's report. Thank you.
Great, thanks for coming. We've got about 4 minutes, so welcome. Thank you for coming.
Hi,
Hello.
good morning all. I'm Nikita Diaz-Cortez. I've lived in Virginia for 18 years. I'm currently a third-year student at VCU. I'm studying political science, and I'm a DACA recipient. I work 2 jobs to maintain a living and to pay for tuition. But one day I hope to apply to law school, maybe becoming an immigration attorney, help out others in the same situation as myself. However, this dream will only be fulfilled if I can continue to receive in-state tuition. So I ultimately believe that Virginia's got nothing to lose and everything to win by supporting this bill. Thank you.
Thank you for coming very much. Yes, ma'am. Welcome. Hi.
Hello, my name is Estefania De La Rosa. I've lived in Chesterfield, Virginia for the past 18 years. I'm a graduate of Manchester High School. I currently attend VCU full-time to become an elementary education teacher. I want to be able to give back to this community, and there are so many undocumented students like me who are willing and capable to do the same thing, but because of this out-of-state tuition barrier, they are unable to do so.
Okay.
By lowering the tuition rate, we would not only allow these students to reach their full potential, but also allow them to give back to this community that you and I both consider to be ours. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Good morning. My name is Ernestine Loxon. I'm 29, a DACA recipient since 2013, Richmond resident and college student. I had to stop attending college 6 years ago due to overwhelming cost of out-of-state tuition, focus on working full-time to support myself in order to survive. Qualifying for in-state tuition can change the lives of thousands of immigrants who want nothing but to better our lives for ourselves and give back to the community that we have called home for most of our lives. Wouldn't you want the same for your children, for them to be able to take advantage of as many opportunities as they can? Please keep us in mind when taking this bill into consideration. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Yes.
Hello, my name is Sarah Darrison. As a supporter of the undocumented community at George Mason University, undocumented students deserve the same opportunity as any Virginia student. Granting more affordable education to these students and my peers will benefit the Commonwealth greatly. Thank you.
Thank you. We've got about 1.5 minutes. Welcome. Thank you for coming.
I'm Brittany Anderson with the Attorney General's Office, and we do support the bill.
Thank you for coming. Yes. Hi.
Hi, good morning. I'm Simon Sandoval Moschenberg, Legal Director of Immigrant Advocacy at the Legal Aid Justice Center, and I'm proud to be a constituent of Senator Marsden's. The language of this bill does not conflict with federal law. Its language is very similar to language in many other states, and it's been tested, so it does not conflict with federal law. We see this as an economic development bill more than anything else. You have to understand that in my experience as an immigration attorney, large numbers of these students will ultimately become legal permanent residents and U.S. citizens. And if we don't give them the opportunity for college education, we're sort of permanently economically damaging our communities. And in fact, higher education can be a path to legal status through high-tech visas and whatnot. Thank you.
Good comments. Thank you. Yes. Hi. We've got about 1 minute, a little less. So.
Good morning. I'm Eva Thorpe. I'm Professor Emerita of Education at George Mason University and also a member of the Mason Dreamers Advisory Group and also a constituent of Senator Marsden.
Nice.
I'm strongly in support of this legislation and essentially want to say that equity in tuition will ensure that we have increased talent. And as someone who's always trying to recruit highly talented people to the teaching pool and highly talented people who can work with our students today, we need to have tuition equity. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to stop for a second. Senator Marsden, you have a third bill, which is close but not exactly. A number of these individuals have spoke to that one. Do you have any thoughts about maybe rolling that one into that? If so, I can add a couple minutes to the clock, or where is your position on that?
Yeah, I'm absolutely fine with that, and they are the arguments are very similar. The populations are a little different, but the arguments are very much the
Yeah,
same.
and I understand so those have spoken, both of them. So we will go to 7 minutes. You'll see the clock kind of going into a negative 2 more minutes, but that'll give you guys a little more time to make your case. Is there a motion that we roll now 1054 also into? There's a motion second that we also roll 1054 into 1637. All those in favor will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. And the clerk will close the roll. Okay.
15-0.
15-0, that has been done. And so with this, I'm going to set this clock, but we'll just say that you've got 2 more minutes, okay? So welcome.
Good morning. I'm Kim Bobo, Director of the Virginia Interfaith Center for Public Policy. Faith communities in Virginia widely support this bill and efforts to welcome immigrants in our midst.
Okay. Thank you for coming. Yes, welcome.
Jeff Caruso with the Virginia Catholic Conference. Consistent with years past, we continue to support this legislation so that young people can flourish and reach their potential. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for coming today. Yes, ma'am. Welcome.
Hi, thank you. Margie Del Castillo. I'm here on behalf of the Virginia Coalition of Immigrant Rights. We're a coalition of 29 organizations across the state that promote immigrant justice, and we strongly support this bill.
Great. Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Welcome.
Lana Heath Day Martinez with CASA Virginia, and we strongly support this bill as we always have.
Thank you. Welcome.
My name is Seema Sked. I'm a private citizen, and I support this bill.
Okay. Thank you.
I know.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Thank you. Welcome.
Good morning. My name is
Yep.
Diego Regoso. I'm with the Immigration and Refugee Program at Church World Service. We're one of the 9 refugee resettlement agencies in the United States, and we strongly support this bill. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Got about a minute left. Welcome. Yes, ma'am.
Hello, I'm Marian Almanza. I'm part of Virginia Student Power Network and Mason Dreamers, and I support this bill in solidarity with all my undocumented community members who and students who also want to continue working towards bettering their community as a whole, their family, and ending the continuing to better themselves as people. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Got about 30 seconds. Yes,
Hello,
ma'am.
on behalf of the Latina Advocacy Network of Virginia, I'm here to say that we support this bill. I'm also a student at Northern Virginia Community College, and I'm a DACA recipient. I'm a member of Dreamers Empowered on campus, and this would be very beneficial to our students on campus and to students all over Virginia. Thank you so much.
Great. Yes, ma'am. Hello. Welcome back.
Hi, I'm Haziel Andrade. I go to VCU, and I'm a DACA beneficiary. I support this bill.
Perfect. Wow, that's just great. All right, so with that, so did you have a?
Could I just make a quick on the DACA, just the one we
Sure.
just
Would you
rolled
mind
in?
if we just hear from anybody that's in opposition in case
Oh,
they
okay,
are? Then
sure.
we'll come right back to you. Yep. So, all right, those that have some concerns about the bill, if you would voice your thoughts or concerns.
Mr. Chairman, distinguished members of the committee, I'm Scott Woodruff, Senior Counsel with Homeschool Legal Defense Association, and I'd just like to ask for a point of clarification. Do I understand correctly that the language now before the committee is the exact language of Senate Bill 1640 as Senator Boysko submitted it?
It is, yes.
And that we're no longer considering the language of SB 1148?
That's correct. That's correct. We are now considering, and what is before us and rolled in is 1640. That is correct. Yes,
And that's
sir.
the language that prevails?
Yes, sir.
Okay, then I have no comment. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Anyone else here to speak? If not, is there any comments by the committee or a motion on what? It's 1640. The motion is that the bill be reported. All those in favor will record your votes aye. And I'm sorry, Senator Saslaw meant to say it will also go to finance if it's successful. And all those in favor will record your vote aye. Those opposed, no. And the clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 8, no 7.
Okay, the bill is reported. Very good. And with that, the bill will go to finance. All right, up next, we have a number of patrons that are here. Senator Hanger, I think you have a bill before us. Do you mind bringing that bill?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. My bill in front of you today is Senate Bill 1488, and it's a very short bill, but I do have a substitute that the staff has prepared to present here this morning. If we could get that.
Okay, there's a substitute before us. Is there a motion on the substitute? There's a motion and a second that the substitute be agreed to. All those in favor will say aye. Opposed, no, and the substitute's agreed to. Senator Hanger.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. The substitute actually just expands on what we are planning to do in conjunction with the Department of Behavioral Health, working with the administration specifically and Dr. Melton. This particular initiative comes to you as a recommendation from our Mental Health Commission. You've got a couple members here that sit on that SJR 47 commission, which is still working. I chair one of the subcommittees there. This, the primary focus of this is that we're struggling to how to deal with people with complex medical needs in addition to being in mental health crisis. And as the substitute is drawn, it will focus on both adults and children, and it basically puts in the legislation the group of stakeholders that we think are important to accomplish this work. They are to come back with recommendations to us on examining the impact or the appropriate treatment needs for people with complex medical needs, and particularly the implications now as we're struggling with the large numbers of TDOs, which are stressing the capacity of our mental health hospitals and causing difficulties for us as we try to transition to fewer state-owned hospital beds and more community-based services. So that's the thrust of it. If there are questions, I'd be glad to elaborate, but it's a fairly simple initiative that we're hoping to accomplish.
Senator Donovan, did you have any thoughts on it? Okay. I agree. Okay. Any thoughts about this bill? Does anyone want to speak in favor of the bill? You did? Well, welcome. We'd love to have you come and speak.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I'm Rhonda Thyssen with the National Alliance on Mental Illness of Virginia. On behalf of NAMI and also Mental Health America of Virginia, we support this bill. We participated on the temporary detention study work group that Senator Deeds requested be taken on to address the issues of why we have so many people being temporarily detained into the state hospitals. And this is a really important issue. There are people showing up in the state hospitals that have complex medical needs that the state hospitals really don't have the capacity to address. And this study will help us learn more about what those folks need and how we can address their needs. So thank you so much for the opportunity to comment.
Thank you very much. Yes, hi, welcome.
Hi, good morning. Ashley Everett with Voices for Virginia's Children, and we support this bill.
Okay, very good. Anyone here that has some concerns about the bill? Yes. Hello, welcome.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. My name is Jennifer Faison. I'm the Executive Director of the Virginia Association of Community Services Boards, and we're very supportive of this measure.
Oh, okay, very much. All right, no one here in opposition. Senator Hanger, it looks like it's well thought out. And the bill, I do not think needs to go to finance. I'm sure it would be in good hands if it did, but it does not need to go to finance. There's a motion and a second then that 1488 be reported. All those in favor, record your votes aye. Those opposed, no. And the clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 15-0.
15-0. Senator Hanger, thank you for coming today.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee.
All right, who do we have next? What do you have up next, Senator McClellan?
I have two education bills.
Okay, have we heard those already in your subcommittee?
No.
Okay, go ahead, and your bills are the 1433 and 1440, is that right?
That's right.
Okay, so let's take 1433, Senator McClellan.
Okay. 1433 would require the Department of Education to aggregate and collect to each of our teacher prep institutions certain information about their graduates. The genesis of this bill, I serve on the Southern Region Education Board, which over the past 3 years has had a teacher prep commission looking at ways that we can improve how we prepare our teachers to teach in K-12 in the 21st century. One of the striking things that we found through that study, and our report was issued in December, is there's very little data across the country on how our teachers are doing and on a wide variety of measures. And this is not performance, like how are their students doing. This is how well were the teachers themselves prepared for school. So, and without that data, you don't know how much of the teacher shortage is based on you have teachers who were prepared but didn't stay in the workforce very long. So this was one of the recommendations of the commission. There are about 3 or 4 states that have begun working on this. And when I talked with the Department of Education, I do have one amendment that they suggested, which would delay enactment of this until they get their electronic teacher licensure process that we approved in the budget, I believe, last year, because they think it would be easier for them to collect this data through that electronic system. But the basic idea is you don't know how well your prep program is doing if you have no way to collect the data. And most of our universities, teacher prep programs have been asking for this kind of data for a very long time, so it gives it to them. Perfect.
Okay. Very good. I think we understand. Is there those that are here to speak in favor of 1433? Okay.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, I'm Kathy Bircher with the Virginia Education Association. Last session, Senator McClellan carried a bill for us for a school personnel climate survey, and it was exactly to get at some of the lack of data we have in Virginia. At that time, Senator McClellan was really interested in implementing the type of survey that could get to this level of data around teacher prep programs. So we're really grateful for this opportunity to ensure that we're collecting the kind of data that we know will be really useful as we really determine the real causes of teacher shortages in Virginia and ensure we're filling our classrooms with the very best teachers possible. We support the bill.
Thank you for coming. And anyone else to speak in favor? I know there's an amendment, but anyone else like to speak? Yes, ma'am. Welcome.
Good morning. My name is Candace Lucas with Advocates for Equity in Schools, and I'm also a licensed educator and administrator with the Virginia Department of Education. I speak in support of this bill specifically as long as it collects data regarding educators of color, educators that specialize in special education, so that we can make sure that we're providing the needed services and supports that they remain and are retained by school divisions. So I'm hoping the purpose of the bill is not just to collect data, but to also create a pipeline in which we can retain qualified educators in shortage areas. Thank you.
Thank you. Senator McClellan, are you understanding the amendment? Is that okay with you?
Yes, there are actually 2. I neglected. There were some concerns raised. We wanted to make sure that in collecting the data, it does not reveal any personally identifying information. And so I have a second amendment, line amendment, that would clarify that.
Okay, good. Tom, do you mind reporting the amendments?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senator McClellan, on line 14, after available, insert, and to the extent that such data does not reveal personally identifiable information. And then beginning of line 20, insert that the provisions of this act shall become effective upon the implementation of an automated teacher licensure and intake system by the Department of Education.
Great. Is there a motion on the amendments? There's a motion and a second that the amendments be agreed to. All those in favor will say aye. Opposed, no, and the amendments are agreed to. Now, is there any other question about the data collection? If not, is there a motion on the bill as amended? There's a motion and a second that 1433 be reported as amended. All those in favor will record your votes aye. Those opposed, no. And the clerk will close the roll.
Yeas 15, nays 0.
15-0, the bill is reported. Senator McClellan, you have 1440. You prepared for that one as well?
I am, yes.
Okay.
So 1440 expands on legislation that we passed last year, sponsored by Senator Deeds and Delegate Rob Bell, that added mental health to the 9th and 10th grade health curriculum. This bill expands mental health throughout K-12 in an age-appropriate way through an amendment to the enactment clause. The department had already planned to expand it, so there should not be, or at least to expand the scope of what they were looking at doing to implement that bill, so we don't expect there to be any fiscal impact. The reason for this, I want to share some pretty stark data with you from the Centers for Disease Control about mental health in children. About ADHD, behavior problems, anxiety, and depression are the most commonly diagnosed mental disorders in children. 9.4% of children aged 2 to 17 have received an ADHD diagnosis. 7.4% of children aged 3 to 17 have been diagnosed with behavior problems. 7.1% of children aged 3 to 17 have been diagnosed with anxiety, and 3.2% of children aged 3 to 17 have been diagnosed with depression. So if these diagnoses are occurring as early as 3, waiting until 8th grade to begin to incorporate in health discussions information on mental health really leaves a lot of these kids behind.
Okay.
And so that's the purpose of the bill.
Great. We looked at this one and we didn't send it to public education. I think it's pretty much ready to go as it is unless there's strong opposition. Is anyone here that wants to speak in?
I think there's 2 students.
Okay, sure. I think it's in good shape, but glad to hear from you.
Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, thank you so much for having us. I'm Lucas Johnson. I'm the Associate Director for the Coalition for the Common Good.
And I'm Hallie Early, and I'm a member of the Coalition for the Common Good.
Okay.
So as a senior at Monticello High School in Albemarle County, I see firsthand the detrimental effects of having a lack of resources for mental health within the school systems. Not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 of my closest friends who are young, bright, and genuinely good people have suffered from mental health illnesses and therefore had to be hospitalized due to the severity of them. And one of which had to be hospitalized out of state because the furthering of the lack of resources for mental health illnesses. Because of this, students like my friends, students like my wonderful, close, bright friends have to seek help outside of the state. Students across the Commonwealth need to know that they aren't alone, need to know that their mental illness is not going to be some kind of detrimental effect to their future, to their livelihood, and that that having an introduction of this curriculum to all age ranges will make sure that they know that they can have a life of being productive and successful members of society.
When we brought the bill up last year, we definitely wanted to consider expanding it all the way K through 12, but wanted to, of course, gauge the receptiveness of 9th and 10th grade first, and then see following if there could be an ability. Other states across the nation have passed bills K through 12 and have allowed for this type of education to be comprehensive throughout all of the grades as opposed to a concentration in just a few, allowing for a complete review of the standards of learning so that this can be incorporated through all levels of health education, allows for students across the Commonwealth to know at any and all ages that what they're going through is not something wrong, not something bad, and can have substantive help for them. Thank you.
Great. Thank you for coming. Yeah. Yes. Hi.
Hi, my name is Josephine Holland, and I am a senior at Maggie Walker Governor School here in Richmond and a member of the 12th District. I am here to speak in support of this bill because it touches something very personal to me. In sophomore year, 2016, a close friend of mine, Eli Greer, committed suicide. And I firmly believe that had we had mental health education starting at an early age, we could have been able to see the signs earlier, help him earlier, know what to do to help him, because when it came, it was, and we didn't see it coming. And so that's why I am here in support of this bill. It will help not only those who suffer from mental illness, but also everyone who knows someone who suffers from mental illness. Thank you.
Yeah. So, Senator, we many times we won't include some of these outside groups if they have to work with some of these outside groups. I wonder if you wouldn't mind if we had them work with the Behavioral Health and Development Department of Behavioral Health and Development and the Virginia Association of Community Services Boards, but not name other organizations.
I'm fine with that.
Okay. Is there a motion on that, please? All right. There's a motion and a second.
Mr. Chairman.
Yep. So we won't include vocal, and we will not include NAMI, in that because they're not in Virginia.
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah. Yes.
May I request that you include DMAS as well? DMAS is working to bring mental health providers into the schools. That can be billed. We're very close. We've been working on it for 2 years. There'll be another budget amendment this year to align that, but we will very soon have mental health providers in the schools that will be able to bill for their services, and I think they'll be an important part of the conversation.
I'd be happy to
Is that
do
okay with you?
Yep.
Okay, very good. There's a motion, a second on the amendments. All those in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Those no, and the amendments are agreed to. With that, as amended, is there a motion on 1440 as amended? As amended. Yep, there's a motion, a second that the bill be reported as amended. All those in favor record your votes aye. Those opposed, no. And the clerk will close the roll.
Yeas 15, nays 0.
15-0, the bill is reported. Thank you for coming
Mr.
by
Chair.
today.
Thank you.
Very good. We have a couple of other non-members. Is Senator Stanley here? Senator Mason, you're here. Would you like to go, sir? You have a bill before us. That's 1412.
No, it's been a busy morning from the committee, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much. I'm 1412. Last night we went to the National Guard reception, and I had the opportunity to meet First Sergeant Lacey Moore. And they brought her to me because she was from Ederick, Virginia. She wanted to make that point multiple times. Everybody she went to high school, no one in her family had gone to college, so she didn't know what she wanted to do. She joined the National Guard. While in the National Guard, she took advantage of this program, sir, and went to the University of Virginia. And now she is still in the National Guard and a senior program manager, Army defense contractor for biodefense. All because of the program that I'm here to talk to you about today. So that was pretty exciting. We get to invited to a lot of receptions, but that was very beneficial to me. This bill just takes it so that you get this tuition assistance if you have 3 years remaining instead of 2. So it just lets you get into the program earlier in the National Guard. It includes vocational and non-degree courses. We know of the workforce development challenges we have around vocational trades, and now includes fees and textbooks because it's all money as far as giving them the tuition assistance, Mr. Chairman. That's a bill.
Great. Are there anyone here to speak in favor of the bill or in opposition to the bill? Great. And just for the committee's sake, Finance just wants to take a look at the finances of this. So if we're inclined to report, we'll just send it up to Finance. Welcome. Yes.
Thanks, sir. Colonel Russell Woodley for the Virginia National Guard. We obviously support the bill. This bill will help us retain soldiers. We're going to use it for the tuition assistance funds for vocational education, which is very popular amongst our soldiers now. The 3-year requirement will help us, we think, retain more soldiers. And again, allowing books and academic fees to be included will also be very attractive to our soldiers, so increase our recruitment efforts. So we appreciate it. Thanks.
Perfect. Thank you for coming. I think this is in good shape. It's just a question of financing it. The commitment is an extra year. Is that
Yes, sir.
right? All right. Is there a motion on the bill and it relates to finance as well? Great. Thank you. There's a motion and a second that the bill, that is 1412, be reported and re-referred to finance. All those in favor record your votes aye. Those opposed, no. Maybe Mr. Black, you vote Mr. Black? It's okay. And the
Thank you,
clerk will
Mr.
close the roll.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee.
Yeas 15, nays 0.
15-0, the bill is reported. Let me just make sure that we don't have a Stuart Stanley or McPike in the House. That's okay. All right, so with that, I'm not going to go without him, so it was a good try by him. I think that if Carrico, if you want to go, and then we have other members of the committee, but I know that Carrico's bill's probably got to get up to finance pretty quickly. Senator Carrico, do you mind if we take up 1506? Because I know finance would like to get that before us. We heard comment on it yesterday.
Sure. And there is an amendment to it dealing with Virginia Western Community College, and I would move that amendment.
Tell Stanley. Okay, there's a motion and a second that the amendment, the substitute be agreed to. All those in favor will say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no, and the substitute is agreed to. Senator Carrico.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, Senate Bill 1506 is dealing with the University of, or Radford University Board of Visitors to establish the Radford University Roanoke Jefferson College or Roanoke Division through an acquisition of Jefferson College. for Health Sciences and a nonprofit private institution wholly owned by and operated by Carilion Clinic. The bill authorizes the board upon establishment of the division to exercise the same powers with respects of operation of the division as vested in the board. This is a merger that Radford is using to try to create more nursing positions throughout Southwest Virginia. Radford has about 9,000 students. The legislation establishes Radford to be able to acquisition that college. Radford University currently has a presence in Roanoke at the Roanoke Higher Education Center and has existing partnerships and collaborations with Jefferson College and Carilion Clinic. I think this would be a huge impact to our region and the needs of nursing shortages, and this is an effort that Radford's making to address that. And I think there's some people here from Radford. They were driving in early this morning, so if he's a little weary, if you want to ask questions, I'm sure he'll be happy to answer those.
Well, he did a great job before finance the other day. Thank you. I think you guys have explained the VRS impact. I think you guys have explained just how the kind of the restart will do, and there's no debt we're acquiring or otherwise. So you've done a lot of homework, right?
Yes, sir. That's correct.
Any
Mr.
other
Chairman.
comments that you'd like to make about this?
No, sir. We're very supportive of Senator Carrico for introducing the bill on our behalf. We do believe that we'll be able to increase the number of healthcare profession graduates and have an impact on that for Southwest Virginia and the whole Commonwealth.
Okay.
Thank you for your time.
You're very welcome. Anyone in committee have questions about it? I know it's a little bit of a complex bill, but any questions? Yes, Senator Donovan.
I just have a comment, and that is that I, as a former nurse, would like to celebrate the revolutionary concept that Radford and Jefferson have come up with for actually using 2 shifts in the day to train nurses and thereby doubling their RN graduates. And just for the record, nurses work 3 shifts. So that's really innovative. And I hope all the other universities that train nurses are listening, because we need nurses and there's no reason we can't use more than 1 shift to train them. So thank you so much for that innovation.
Great.
Thank you, Senator.
Okay. With that, there is a motion to report and re-refer to finance. There's a motion and a second to report and re-refer to finance. All those in favor will record your votes aye. Those opposed, no. And the clerk will close the roll.
Yeas 14, nays 0.
14-0, 1 abstention. The bill is reported. Senator Carrico, you have another. Senator Stanley, do you mind coming up here for just a second? You have your next bill.
Yes, the next bill I have is dealing with the college at UVA Wise, and there is an amendment to that also, which was requested by the community college, Mountain Empire Community College. If I can have Tom to go ahead and report that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senator Carrico. On line 27, after region, insert reduced rate tuition for students who reside in and are domiciled in the Appalachian region shall not be set below the in-state tuition rate for Virginia students attending the University of Virginia's College at Wise.
I would move that amendment.
All right, there's a motion and a second that the amendment be agreed to. All those in favor will say aye. Opposed, no. And the amendment is agreed to.
And that just simply
Wait just a second, Senator. I'm sorry. What was that, David?
Could the council just reread the amendment? I couldn't hear it.
The amendment's
Is it
agreed to,
removing the
but if
emergency
you would.
clause? Is that
Yeah.
it? Okay.
Go ahead, Tom.
But don't remove them.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Line 27, after region, insert reduced rate tuition for students who reside in and are domiciled in the Appalachian region shall not be set below the in-state tuition rate for Virginia students attending the University of Virginia's College at Wise.
We just didn't want to have a disparity where we had one
Right.
undercutting the other.
The
right?
amendment, there's a community college right there in the same county as UVA Wise, and they just didn't want to reduce the rate to where they couldn't operate. And that's the reason for the amendment. Mr. Chairman, this is an effort at UVA Wise to do the same as many surrounding states around that region, Kentucky and now Tennessee, to offer similar reduced rates to those students in the Appalachia region. What we're seeing is, because Kentucky and Tennessee has already started offering this, Virginia students leaving and going into those states to colleges. What this does is allows the University of Virginia College at Wise to offer that reduced rate to those students that are all within that Appalachia region. And this is an effort by the University of Wise to recruit students, and whenever you recruit students and they go to college there, more likely they are to stay in that region and give us the ability to keep some of our Virginia students from going to those other states. This is a bill that came at the request of UVA Wise. I know that there's a fiscal impact statement that's not estimated that there would be any fiscal impact at this time, but I'm not sure if the finance has asked for the bill at this point.
They have. So is there anyone to speak in opposition to the bill? If not, the bill would need to go to
Mr. Chairman.
finance if we agree to it. So first Senator Sudaline, then Senator Howell. David, do you have a comment, sir?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I understand that currently we allow students within a 50-mile radius from Kentucky and Tennessee to come. I always have concerns about granting in-state tuition to folks that aren't Virginia taxpayers. We had previous discussion today on if we were going to grant in-state tuition to folks that aren't currently legally present in Virginia. The bill would extend to other states that have different policies than Virginia. A lot of people don't realize that that federal designation goes all the way up to New York State. And so New York and Maryland both have different policies than the Commonwealth does on in-state tuition and legal presence. So that's something I've got a concern with. I don't think that we should be granting in-state tuition to the equivalent of in-state tuition to folks not legally present, if they, even in Virginia. And I have concerns about allowing Maryland and New York to dictate the policy to us. And
Mr. Chair.
and that's just a concern I've got.
Mr. Chair.
Okay. So thank you, David. Senator Howell and then Senator Peterson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I share Senator Suderline's concerns. I have the greatest respect for UVA Wise and visited it last summer and was so impressed by the quality of the education there. But I think this is going down the wrong road. We should not be giving in-state tuition to those from other states. And it makes me wonder, will we do that when we get up into Northern Virginia? Will those from DC and Maryland be able to get in-state tuition? It's a great concern, and I find it highly ironic that we would consider giving in-state tuition to those in Appalachia who don't live in Virginia when we just denied it to DACA students who do live in Virginia.
Mr. Chair.
Senator Peterson.
I'm going to support this bill, and I'll tell you why. I've been out to Wise County a few times, and I've been to UVA Wise, and it used to be called Clinch Valley State, and it was the only recruiting letter I ever received in football. Showing clearly their scouting department was not very strong in the 1980s. But let me tell you something. It's had the enrollment's been dropping. And I know that, and we all know that. And everyone talks about how do we get more commerce into parts of the Commonwealth. Everyone knows that higher education drives jobs, it drives innovation, it drives tax dollars, it drives so many things. We just need to get bodies. And so I understand the disconnect between the vote we took a few minutes ago and what we're doing now. I get that, and I voted the opposite way as some of y'all did. I support the DACA, but this is a new issue, and I think, you know what? I think it's important to get folks into UVA-wise. It's a beautiful community, it's a beautiful campus, and we've got to get bodies on that campus, so I'm going to support this.
Mr. Chairman, I don't know the definition of U.S. Code 40-14-102, and I don't know if there is anything in that U.S. Code that defines the possibility of not allowing those individuals. I just don't know. I can try to find that out.
So Senator Carrico, I don't know exactly where this is going, but do you want to have it go by for a week and let us kind of take a fresh look at that code section?
I think for purposes of me being able to answer the question that Senator Suderline has brought up, I think there might be an answer to that in that U.S. code that defines the Appalachia region.
Okay. So without objection, let's let the bill go by for the day, and then we'll move on. And I know that there are non-committee members that are here, but your Senate Bill 1511 seems like we could do that one.
Yeah, this
quick order. Is that right?
Yes, this is a pretty simple approach. Southwest Higher Education Center, allowing the Board of Trustees there at that higher education center to seek opportunities to collaborate with local comprehensive community colleges to meet specialized non-credit workforce programs, just an effort to reach out to those. According to the attorney for the higher ed center, they have to have this in the code to be able to reach out and do that. And it brings them in parity with other higher ed centers across the state and what they're doing.
Is anyone here to speak in opposition to this bill? It's 1511. If not, is there a motion on the bill to report? There's a motion and a second that 1511 be reported. All those in favor will record your votes aye. Those opposed, no. And the clerk will close the roll.
Yeas 15-0.
15-0, the bill is reported. Thank you, Senator Carrico. Up next, Senator Stanley, in discussions with you, I think we were going to let 1331 go by for the day while you're working with those interested.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, I'd ask for that. I think we can put it in perfect language where everybody agrees if we just have one
Without
more week.
objection, 1331 will go by for the day, and you also have 1653. So go
Yes,
ahead with
Mr.
that one,
Chairman.
sir.
And members of the committee, I've also brought my doctors with me. They're over here to my right. Actually, they're from Senator Chase's district, so perhaps you might want to go say hi. But just in case I have a heart attack and you actually pass one of my bills in here, I brought my doctors with me. So, but the chances of that happening, I know, are slim. So, Senate Bill 1653, to take you back to last year when we were trying to address the opioid crisis, what we found is that many persons that were addicted to opioids were taking their animals, hurting their animals, and then in order to get the drugs that were being dispensed by veterinarians that were opioid drugs. And so we were trying to address an issue, and in doing that, we set a limitation on how long over-the-counter, basically without having to go to pharmacy, how long those veterinarians could provide those opioidic drugs for a certain limit of time. In its enactment, of course, there have been some hiccups here and there, but I think we have an amendment to this bill. Do we have amendments?
Can you report the amendments?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're
Senator
in
Stanley.
trouble, I'm chairing.
Can this go by for the day?
On line 26, after last, strike the 14, insert 7. Line 26, after less, insert or such covered substance is feline buprenorphine or canine butorphanol.
Yeah, that was really good. I wasn't going to have to say this.
All right, is there a motion on the amendment?
Excuse me.
Parliamentary
Senator
question.
Peterson.
If we're amending it back to the original code, then what's the bill?
It's the, Mr. Chairman, I'd answer that by saying it returns, what we're trying to do is give them a 14-day supply. This amendment returns it to 7 days, but what it does, it creates an exemption for those two drugs to be administered without limitation by time. So that is a change to the code.
All right.
Have you adopted the amendment?
Oh, okay.
Mr.
Sorry,
Chairman?
so Senator Donovan.
Yeah, and what is the rationale for allowing that?
For the two exceptions, I'll allow, I'm going to hit this way and I'll let her take it.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Susan Seward with the Virginia Veterinary Medical Association. The issue is we have two drugs of concern, feline buprenorphine, trade name of Buprenex, for cat pain management. The 7-day window from the hospital has caused severe problems with this drug when if there's a cat who needs 10 days of Buprenex, when they go to CVS, Walgreens, Costco, that drug is not available in the 0.3 mil ready-made doses that we send them home with. In CVS's case, they're the only one that could order it. And what happens, the owner ends up with a 5 mil bottle of buprenorphine. And for a 10-day script, they would need 3 mils. So we're actually putting 2 more mils of buprenorphine on the market, if you will, that are not necessary for the animal, but the commercial pharmacies are not able to fill it in those 0.3 unit dose syringes. The only other pain management alternative we have for cats, because cats cannot take NSAIDs, are fentanyl patches. So in the case of having to shift from buprenorphine to fentanyl, fentanyl patches are sold in a box of 5. One fentanyl patch will carry a cat for up to 2 weeks post-operative recovery. But again, we're trying to limit the amount of this material that's, in homes across Virginia. So if we swap up to a fentanyl patch, the pharmacist won't sell one patch. So now you've got a box of 5 fentanyl patches when 10.3 mil syringes of buprenorphine will do the trick. In the case of canine torbutrol, which is a tablet for cough, it is the most effective cough medicine for a dog out there. The only swap, if you will, at a human pharmacy for that, because humans do not take torbutrol tablets. That cannot be gotten at all at CVS or Walgreens. What we would have to do for more than 7 days is swap that up for hydrocodone codeine cough syrup, Schedule 2. So in that case, we're going from a Schedule 4 that humans don't take to a Schedule 2 that is the same for dog as for the dog's owner. So again, contrary to the goal of what we were trying to do last year by limiting what we send out of the clinic without reporting to the PMP, in both cases, we're swapping a 3 and a 4 for a 2.
I think we got it. That
got
was about as good as I could hear.
Okay.
Senator Donovan, do you
Mr.
have
Chairman,
other questions?
why don't you just report it and prescribe it for 10 days?
We have about 200 veterinarians currently participating in the PMP. We had quite a few actually, that started, and it was so problematic that they opted not to report, and after 7 days, send everything to the pharmacy so it could be entered into the PMP. A lot of our rural practitioners are having internet connectivity issues with the PMP, so the PMP reporting, most practitioners are still
So let me just, I know we're so short on time. I don't mean to interrupt. I get the message, but I don't understand if it's being reported by the pharmacy if you dispense 10 days. Why can't you write the prescription for 10 days and dispense it and let the pharmacy report to the PMP?
Because in the case of feline buprenex and canine torbutrol, the pharmacies physically can't get torbutrol, and buprenex, they give us a 5 mil bottle, which is more material than the owner needs.
But at sometimes they dispense it in 0.3 millimeter syringes?
No, that's how the veterinarian sends the patient home with it. When we go to CVS, they just give you a 5 mil bottle, and the owner will have to draw it out, get the 0.3 mils. When we send a cat home, they get the individual
Mr. Chairman,
0.3
and just
syringes.
Follow up, for how long do you prescribe the canine medication?
Torbutrol can be anywhere from a week to 2 weeks.
Senator Donovan?
I just want to make sure we're not redirecting. I'm just making sure we're not making this too permissive because people don't want to report. Doctors don't want to report
Right.
either, but we do.
And to your point, Senator, we did work with DHP on this. I believe
Okay.
Dr. Brown is here.
All right.
So, please.
That's great. I'd love to hear from Dr.
Okay,
Brown.
thank you.
Welcome.
David Brown, Director of the Department of Health Professions. We do believe that Senator Stanley has identified a hiccup in this bill, and we think that this focused solution solves the problem. Yes.
Okay. Are there any other questions about the amendment? Hearing none. You have any further comment on the amendment?
No,
Senator
sir.
Stanley?
No, this
There's a
bill's about the mills. So
There's a
you got-
motion and a second that the amendment be agreed to. All those in favor will say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The amendment is agreed to. Is there a motion on the bill as amended? Is there a motion on the bill as amended? There's a motion and a second that the bill be reported as amended. All those in favor will record your votes aye. Those opposed, no. And the clerk will most of that's me, sorry. Close the roll.
Yeas 14, nays 0.
14-0, the bill is reported. Thanks, Senator
Thank you,
Stanley.
Mr. Chairman. Thank you, members of the committee.
Okay, up next is Senator McPike. Are you still here? Yeah. You had a duplicate bill to another. What bill was that?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. My bill was Senate Bill 1173, and Senator Stewart has Senate Bill 1665.
Okay. What we're going to do is we're going to hear your bill. I know that you were willing to roll. Senator Stewart has indicated that kind of act without him, and we kind of don't do that. So if you want to take your bill up, we'll roll his into you, and we'll move forward.
Okay. Thank you, Mr.
All right,
Chairman.
is there a motion to roll 1665 into 1173? Motion is second to roll those bills together. All those in favor record your votes aye. Those opposed, no. And the clerk will close the roll. Okay.
So, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, this bill is, you've heard this bill before over the years. It has to do with tuition grants to military survivor benefits. And the issue is, right now, we provide a stipend that's set out within our budget. I believe it's $2,200 or so. I think it's the average. But what happens is, right now, we grant that to family members of service members that are disabled, 90% or greater, and there's the definitions within the bill around it. The issue is that DVS has a definition around that you have to be disabled by essentially an enemy combatant, despite what this law sets out and what it reads. And so you have a number of service members, families who are in fact disabled, and that are disabled in theater, but they weren't actually actively shot or injured in a direct combat scenario. And we all know there's multiple other combat arena scenarios where injuries occur for our service members. And that's a part of the issue that a constituent came to me, as well as I know Senator Stewart as well, that they feel unfairly treated. These service members have been overseas, they fought for our country, and because of how DVS is sort of defined in this context, they're being excluded from this. And so this seeks to address this issue. I know it's has a fiscal impact statement as well. That'll be associated with it, and likely finance will be interested in taking a review of that as well. But that is the essential bill by adding the lines 23 through 24, just adding who served in the armed forces. That opens it up, the definition, so it's just not so restrictive of a definition.
Okay. Very good. The biggest concern about the bill would be in finance, so the policy matters before us. Is anyone here to speak in favor or in opposition to the bill? Any questions about the bill? If not, is there a motion on the bill? Senator Suderline.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've got a question on the bill. This came up in my district. I had a constituent who would qualify under the current law, but their child didn't qualify because of their legal status with them not being adopted, even though they've been a financial dependent on tax purposes for years. And so that's something where I got to spend a lot more time looking at it. My concern with the bill is I think that it broadens it, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it broadens it beyond just what we were talking about. What you talked about, saying that we're going to provide these benefits to folks that were injured in injured in theater to this significant extent. But as I read it, it simply says that they served in the armed forces of the United States, or the reserves of the armed forces of the United States, or the Virginia National Guard. So that means it could be completely non-combat related, and that this could have been something that occurred completely separate from it. And when I was asked that direct question at the American Legion Hall in Salem, and I expressed concerns that I think that it's important that we take care of folks, but given the limited resources, this is something that I've always thought should be for combat veterans. And then I heard from several veterans that said, yes, you should not further expand this. So am I reading it correctly that someone would qualify even if there was no combat record at all?
I'm not sure on the provisions. Council might be able to chime in based on this wording, but I certainly agree with you. I think the intent is to make sure that those who are in theater and serving overseas, and there's a lot of context to that as well in terms of military operations and what that means, but I would ask if council can chime in.
Tom.
Mr. Chairman, Senator Pike, Senator Suline, on lines 22 is the piece about armed conflict, was killed, missing in action, became a prisoner of war. Or 2, served in the armed forces, reserves, National Guard, and becomes permanently disabled, or at least 90% permanently disabled as a direct result of such service. So Senator Suline, you're right. It would open up this to folks who weren't disabled in combat, but would have to have been disabled as a direct result of their service in the armed forces.
So, Mr. Chairman, to Senator Suderline's point, if there's either a line amendment to narrow that scope, I think there'd be a friendly amendment, because that really is the crux of what we're trying to deal with, where, in fact, for my own constituent's case, she was a female member of the armed services, and because she wasn't injured on the front lines, felt like she's really to the back of the pack, even though she had multiple tours and was injured and disabled in one of the several campaigns.
So I think we all would like to vote for this. Senator Suderline, is there a conceptual amendment that you could help us with that we could put on the bill?
No, if I did, I'd offer it now. I'm inclined, since I know this needs to go to finance, I'm happy to abstain today and see if, given more time in finance, something can be determined.
Mr. Chairman, I'm happy to work.
And so that way we'll stay on the regular calendar, and if other people like it, but I've still got concerns, I can express it at that time.
All right, I would urge you guys, because it's come before where Janet and I are upstairs, I'd like to fix that, because that's a tough thing. So why don't you work with Tom? Tom, you get us an amendment that we can take upstairs to the group up there. All right. With that, there is no amendment. Is there a motion on the bill that includes finance? So motion is second that the bill be reported and re-referred, and that is 1665 into 1173. All those in favor record your votes aye. Those opposed, no. And the clerk will close the roll.
Yeas 13, nays 0, abstentions 2.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
With that, we'll see you upstairs. Very good. Is there any other non-committee member here? If not, Senator Donovan, you have a few. We do have one bill that's between you and Senator Howe, and she has a lower number on that. If you guys want to do that one so that finance could get that one earlier rather than later, we may roll those together if you don't mind and send those up. Is that okay with you?
That's fine.
All right, is there a motion that we roll 1313 into 1095?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
There are also a few other amendments, so if
Okay.
those could be rolled in as well, that would
There's a
be helpful.
substitute, I think, that aligns it with the House.
All right, let's
bill.
roll the
Council
bills, and then I
House.
think we substitute, if that's okay with you
Okay.
all. So there's a motion and a second that we roll the bills together. All those in favor will record your votes aye. Those opposed, no.
Mamie, can you get?
And Dick?
And Dick, one more time. And the clerk will close the roll. Into 1095. Okay. 15-0, that bill is rolled in. So do you want to describe your bill first and then get amendments, or do you want to do the amendments first?
The amendments are fine. They're mostly just changing some language, but they don't affect the content or the intent of the
All
bill
right,
in
Tom,
any
can you
way.
report the amendments, and we'll get those taken care of?
It's actually an amendment in the form of a substitute, I think.
It will ultimately be a substitute. Senator Donovan is correct. There are a few technical amendments that need to be made to the bill. One of the sections got out of order. But the other amendments are written to new section 22.1, 289.02 that starts on line 963. Line 966, introduced after B, strike the remainder of that line through and on line 967. Line 968, introduced after accountable, strike system of early childhood care and education, that insert and. Line 976, introduced after through, strike diverse. Line 977, introduced after affordable, strike service delivery. Line 977, introduced after program, strike the semicolon, insert and. I can keep going, Mr. Chairman. Essentially, there are 13 directives to the board. This takes it down to 7. I can pass them out, or you can have me read them all.
Okay, we'll just, I think we've got the concept. Is everyone comfortable with the amendments as reported? Any questions about the amendments? The bill's going to go to finance, so we'll get another look at it again. All those in favor of the amendments will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Amendments are agreed to. All right, Senator Donovan and Senator Howell, why don't you guys go over the purpose for the bill?
I don't care. I've got a list of things.
Thank you. We just decided I'd go first and then she'd go second. We've been working on this for quite some time together. And I think we all agree that we have a problem in Virginia. We know that all kids deserve an opportunity to succeed because we know research shows that brain development by age 4 has significant influence on future achievement or failure. But far too many children in Virginia don't meet basic developmental benchmarks by this age, and they never catch up. So what has happened is a number of organizations have worked together for this bill. The Chamber of Commerce was the first one that came to me about it. The Early Childhood Foundation was quickly after that. The Children's Cabinet and the First Lady have all collaborated to come up with this approach. What we are aiming to do is to ensure structure, efficiency, and accountability in the whole array of early childhood programs. And we're trying to have metrics to make sure that we're improving the outcomes for these very young children. The key features of this is the programs are going to be aligned and unified under the Department of Education. Currently, some of them are in social services, and the responsibilities will be transferred to the Department of Education. An Early Childhood Innovation Fund will be created. We'll have improved accountability, and we will need to go to finance because there will be some funding implications in the future.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll just add a couple of things about this bill. That number one, it supports parents It defines school readiness, which we have not done very effectively in the past. It sets standards for teachers, for licensure, for programs, for access, for accountability. It regionalizes it so we can be innovative and accommodate different needs in regions so that our children are prepared for school. It does align all the programs under DOE, which is a good strategy for efficiency. More importantly, it aligns our federal streams of funding for this, including TANF. They go through a bunch of other agencies and have historically been used just for child care without necessarily having those children prepared with the great body of evidence we now have that is necessary and appropriate preparation for them to be ready for kindergarten. If they're not ready for kindergarten, they're not reading in the third grade, and they're not graduating high school and participating in our workforce. I think one of the most important things about this is that it creates a private-public partnership in the fund that we've created. It's not just the federal funds that we'll be using. The Chamber of Commerce is very interested in investing in this because they understand what an important aspect it is of economic development to prepare our workforce. So this is a really good conservative fiscal bill that we will be using private-public partnership to have accountable programs that are actually going to prepare our kids the way we want them to. So that's just what I'll add to the bill.
Great. Okay. Clark, we will make sure both are chief co-patrons of the bill. We get upstairs, I know. Do you have amendments upstairs?
Yes, sir. The amendments will be, by the time it gets to finance, it'll be a substitute, and it'll be aligned with the House version.
All right, we'll need that. So I know it's a big change. I think an important one, though. Are there those that are here to speak in favor or in opposition to the bill? Oh, those that are here to speak in favor. Let's start with favor. I'm going to put a clock on. I don't think we'll need it, but we'll hear from those that are in favor. First, please, no written comments if you just give me your thoughts.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I also want to acknowledge and appreciate the leadership of Senators Donovan and Howell for this, as well as the participation and contributions of the First Lady and her team, and many of the organizations and representatives who are in the audience and beyond to really help shape up a practical, common sense and seminal legislation. I'm with the Virginia Early Childhood Foundation, and we enthusiastically support the bill. Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Tom Smith, Superintendent's Association. Bringing all of these programs under the Department of Education is one of our legislative priorities this year. Having dealt with this at the local level, you have a myriad of preschool programs and child care programs that you deal with, and they all come into us or most of them come into us as the local public schools, so we figure this is the right course to take. Thank you.
Thanks for coming. Yep. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, good morning. My name is Emily Griffey. I'm the Policy Director at Voices for Virginia's Children. We're an independent child advocacy organization and speak for the best interests of kids. I'm here because I do think that this move is in the best interest of children. Early childhood stakeholders and advocates for a long time have asked for better alignment between our early childhood systems. And I would encourage you to support this effort. And also, it is very substantive, so I want to encourage you to also look at metrics of progress and outcomes along the way. I would really want to ensure that in these moves, we serve no fewer publicly funded at-risk children than we do today in January 2019. And so we should be able to increase the number through this effort. I also want, while this is a substantive change, also want to think about the symbolism of this moment where if you are encouraging early childhood programs to move under the Department of Education, that you truly look at it at a pre-K to 12 system or an early ed to 12 system and start referring it to that in all of your conversations as well. So think about it more than just as a symbol as well. Thank you.
Thanks, welcome.
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, Kim McKay, Director of Public Policy for the Virginia Chamber of Commerce. Early childhood has long been a priority of ours. This bill is one of our legislative priorities, and we just want to thank both patrons for bringing it forward. So thank you.
Great. I think we got about 2 minutes, so please make sure you're
Fast. Jenna Conway, Chief School Readiness Officer, speaking on behalf of the administration, representing Department of Education and Department of Social Services, wanted to express our strong support for this bill. Looking forward to working with communities across the state to strengthen their systems.
Okay, thank you.
Christy Snyder with Rainbow Riders Child Care Centers in Blacksburg, Virginia. We provide care and education for about 450 young children. We use subsidy programs. We partner with Virginia Quality, Smart Beginnings. The time is now to act on this. We're ready to collaborate. We're ready to partner. Early care and education is education. It's time to bring early childhood systems under the Department of Education. We hope that you'll report this bill. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Got about a minute and a half, so we'll have to go quick.
Good morning, Gail Johnson, Chairman and founder of Leaf Spring Schools, formerly Rainbow Station. I am a pediatric nurse who transitioned in early education 30 years ago. We have come a long way since I operated under minimum standards for child day centers to an opportunity where we can really underscore that early education is indeed education of young children, and we can give the credibility to early education as the foundation of a child's educational experience. What an opportunity for Virginia.
Thank you. Hi, welcome. Got about a minute, so we need to move, tell who you are and who you support.
Good morning. I'm Dr. Jane Glasgow, the Executive Director of Minus 9 to 5, which is an early care initiative from Southampton Roads, representing over 100 of our local organizations. And we are very much in support of this effort and think that the alignment and change to DOE makes a lot of sense from a
Great.
alignment
Thanks.
perspective.
Yes,
Thank you.
ma'am. Hi.
Audrey Smith. I'm a retired Chesterfield County Public School educator who started a nonprofit child development center, and I was shocked because the Department of Education has licensing, all of the regulations, but with early child care, it's so divided. We need a unified system. Thank you.
And I'm going to be kind, but I'd like for you just to say who you are and if you support, please.
Thank you. Amy Martin from Culpeper, Virginia, a religious exemption subsidy vendor and
Great,
support.
thank you. Yes, yes, sir. You want to speak in favor, you supported?
Yes.
Just say your name and that you support, and we're
I'm
good.
Scott Kisner, Superintendent of Stafford County Public Schools.
Great.
I'm supportive. Thank you.
Thanks for coming, yeah.
I'm John Easter, Chamber RVA. We strongly support this bipartisan effort to help our workforce.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks, yes.
Mike Forehand, Northern Virginia Chamber, we support the bill. Thank you, Mr.
Perfect,
Chairman.
thank you. Yeah.
Patrick Root, Virginia Alliance of YMCA's, we support.
Great, thanks. Hi.
Hi, Laurie McCullough, Virginia Association for Supervision and Curriculum Development. We're in support. Thank you.
Thanks for coming today. Hi.
Trolling Seward, representing the Virginia Association of Reading Educators, and we're about 3,000 strong. We strongly support this, and the Virginia Academy, excuse me, of School Psychologists also support the bill.
Okay. We appreciate you coming. Are there those that are here that have some concerns about the bill? With that, we will start our clock and move forward. Yes, welcome.
I guess I get a little bit more time. Dan Zacharias with the Old Dominion Association of Church Schools. Uncharacteristically, we're undecided, so concerns is the better way to say that. We may support, we haven't decided yet, we may not. But where this affects us, our ministries run primarily 4-year-old kindergartens, so they're schools, and we've been intrigued for some time of having those treated as schools instead of as daycares. And so that concept we appreciate about the bill. And currently those pre-Ks operate under the religious exemption from licensure. We do have daycares as well, but most of our constituents are the pre-Ks. We do have some concerns. I've emailed them to the committee members. I hope you've had a chance to see them. I won't, for time's sake, enumerate them here. But I hope that you have a chance to look at those. And I did see one of our concerns addressed in the substitute, a minor thing that was a good change that we appreciate. I would just say that quality is subjective, and we're going to continue to look at this as it moves through, and hopefully in a few days we can arrive at a firm position.
Great, thanks for coming. Yes, Eddie.
Eddie Aliff, Executive Director of Virginia Assembly of Independent Baptists. It also represents various religious exempt institutions. I think my biggest disappointment is we were never called to the table, and we were involved in a 2-year discussion on reorganizing these, and Senator Hanger did great work in trying to get all of this done, and so now we're quickly moving into a different venue, and so I guess we're just unsure and a little bit insecure on how that would affect us. Thank you.
Good. Thank you. Anyone else here to speak with some concerns about the bill? Guys, just, as you may have heard, Tom and I had a good discussion about this, and we were discussing the religious exemption portion, and I think we thought that we were in good shape on that, but if we can work on that for a little longer, I think that we had no intent and no indication that we're going to do that, and if there's a mistake in the bill, if there's not, it's fine, but let's just, if you don't mind, let's continue to work on that, let's get that part right. Is that okay?
We'll be happy to look at that.
Okay.
And I'll just point out, this really came from the work of the School Readiness Committee that was set up about 4 years ago that Senator Suderline and I serve on. And they were open meetings,
Okay.
they were published, and they were inclusive for a lot of, it probably didn't include everybody in, the state, obviously, but this has been a very open process in developing this kind of plan that we have in
Well,
place.
the difficulty I think we have is I think that if we're going to act on this bill, we need to do it today to get it to finance. And then
Please.
it'll go up and you're on that committee and you're on that committee and I'm on that committee. And so I think there's be enough of us to look over that. So I may abstain today and then look to fix that upstairs. All right, we've heard it. We've got the bill before us and the amendments. Is it going to be a substitute, Tom? Is that what we have? Yes, sir. Okay. All right, there's a motion, is there? And a second that the bill as amended be reported. All those in favor, record your votes aye. Those opposed, no.
Reported and re-referred.
And re-referred. And the clerk will close the roll.
Yeas 10, nays 2, abstentions 1.
Okay, very good. The bill's sent upstairs. We'll work on it up there. We'll get it right. All right, thank you.
I will move
Senator
as
Donovan,
quickly
you've
as
got
possible.
a number more, so go ahead.
Yes, sir. I'll start with 1590 Virtual Virginia. And this bill, basically, Virtual Virginia is our virtual, what do you want me to do?
Senator Donovan, 1590 is in subcommittee this afternoon. You have
bad.
1593, 1595, and 1608.
Thank you.
Would you like to
Mr.
take
Chairman.
1593? Is that
Yes,
okay
sir.
with you? Yes, ma'am.
1593, I'd be happy to speak to. This is actually codifying language that we included in the budget about 3 years ago, and it basically is aligning award letters from all higher ed institutions in Virginia so that when a student gets an offer from multiple different universities or secondary education opportunities, it's apples to apples on what kind of debt they're going to have when they're finished. That's essentially what this is, and it's just codifying language we had in the budget earlier. Chev has already worked to produce those guidelines, and they are in existence and being applied.
Okay, would clerk report a technical amendment?
Line 17, after financial, insert aid.
Okay.
Excellent, thank
There's a
you.
motion and a second that the amendment be agreed to. All those in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no, and the amendment's agreed to. Is anyone here to speak in favor or in opposition to 1593? Okay, hearing none. Is there a motion on the bill? There's a motion and a second that the bill 1593 be reported. All those in favor will record the votes aye. Those opposed, no. And the clerk will close the roll.
Yeas 15, nays 0.
15-0, the bill is reported.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. 1595.
Yes, ma'am.
This is a bill that is being presented to address an issue that has been pointed out to me, looking basically at ensuring there's a substitute that's being handed out now.
Is there a motion on the substitute? There's a motion and a second that the substitute be agreed to. All those in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Substitute's agreed to. Senator Donovan.
The substitute articulates this a little bit better. It's just ensuring that as an IEP is developed for an individual that has whatever the disability is that they're dealing with, that we ensure that the education on family life is adapted so that it is comprehensible for them. There's a lot of problems with certain developmental disorders that they have a hard time really recognizing social cues, and they have ended up in very bad legal circumstances. And I think that we can probably do a little bit of a better job by individualizing this and making sure that they are given information that they can really comprehend and reiterate, and it's not just kind of handed out to them.
Okay, are there those that are here to speak in favor of 1595? Welcome.
Hi, my name is Brian Kelmar. I'm chairman of the national organization LRID, Legal Reform for People with Intellectual and Developmentally Disabled. We're based here in Richmond. I have a son who has autism. Several years ago, my son with autism experienced a situation that we had never expected. He found himself in circumstances that, because of his disability and lack of information regarding appropriate behaviors, he had no understanding and no conception of what was going on. This incident led to a court case that has now destroyed his life. For our children to have a chance in life, they need 4 things: a job, a home, supports, and most of all, hope. This event has destroyed all of those supports and all of those chances in there. We call it, in a lot of our families that go through this, a civil death. Unfortunately, my family isn't alone in this need. A few years back ago, I was asked to tell my story about my son's situation on a national webinar. These webinars typically get between 100 and 150 people max. Ours had over 1,000 before the network crashed. We realized that this is a much bigger problem facing numerous families both here in the Commonwealth and across the country, and a lot of other states are addressing this. My family wants to ensure that all kids with disabilities have the opportunity of receiving age and developmentally appropriate education that can prevent from this becoming victims or inadvertently becoming offenders due to their disability. We hope Virginia school system will give our kids the family life education that will help them develop healthy relationships so they can have an inclusive life in the community.
Thanks for coming today. Yes, ma'am. Welcome.
Tanya Milling, the Arc of Virginia. We very much support this bill for age and developmentally appropriate family life education, and are pleased to say it also protects the parents' options and choice to opt out.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming. Yes, sir. One more. Yep.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Chairman. Virginia Council of Administrators of Special Education. My name is Mike Asip. VK supports this bill and it provides specially designed instruction for those students that need special family life education curriculum. Thank you.
Thanks for coming. Senator Donovan, you want to clean it up, and we'll, anyone here to speak in opposition? Okay. Senator Donovan, you
I
want to
think
clean it up?
it's clean.
Okay.
IEP and
There's an
opt-out.
amendment that we need to make to the substitute. Tom, you report that? Okay.
Line 17, after school strike division, insert board, so it reads local school board.
All right, there's a motion and a second that the amendment to the substitute be agreed to. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no, and the amendment's agreed to. We'll just roll that up into one substitute, Tom. And with that, is there a motion on the bill as amended? Motion and a second that the bill as amended is reported. All those in favor will record your votes aye. Those opposed, no. And the clerk will close the roll.
Yeas 15, nays 0.
15-0, the bill as amended is reported. Senator Donovan, you have 1608, right?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. 1608, I'm very excited about. It is actually a school safety bill. It is designed we will be designing an app that will be available, which is how kids communicate, that will be very similar to the Safe UT app that we reviewed in our JLARC presentation that looked at school safety. And basically what this will be is easy access for children in any of our school systems to seek mental health. We already have a 24/7 Magellan mental health hotline in Virginia. It is not easily accessed for that population. So if we had somebody that was maybe considering suicide or unsure about depression, they would be able to get crisis counseling and be reconnected back to their community. In addition to that, this would allow the Fusion Center, our state police that process really all of our threats, terrorism, et cetera, to centralize the threats that we had to the school system last year and make sure that they get out to the individual threat assessment teams, which we have shored up and better connected with our communities this year. Last year, as you all know, we had 9,000 threats in Virginia that were handled by our threat assessment team. This would ensure that there were no communication errors happening in Virginia like have happened in some of the shootings we've seen before. This will need to go to finance. While there is no cost for the 24/7 hotline, there's a small cost for the development of the app and for the Fusion Center to monitor 24/7.
We've heard presentations upstairs. It's a powerful opportunity for us. Is there anybody here to speak in favor of the bill or in opposition to the bill? If not, is there a motion on the, is there a, Tom, there's an amendment, right?
I'm so sorry, there is an amendment. The last line in that needs to be stricken and replaced. And Tom, would you like to read it?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senator Donovan, as the Senator said on line 20, starting with the center, strike that last sentence and insert, the Department of Medical Assistance Services shall provide the center with data and other information necessary to ensure the school safety mobile application is integrated with any existing crisis intervention phone hotlines.
Okay. This motion is second that the amendment be agreed to. All those in favor will say aye. Opposed, no, and amendments agreed to. Is there a motion on the bill as amended? Motion is second that Senate Bill 1608 and re-referred to Senate Finance be reported and re-referred. All those in favor will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. And the clerk will close the roll.
Yeas 15, nays 0.
15-0, the bill is reported. Did we do 1628? Siobhan, do you want to do that now, or do you want to do it? Guys, so while we have a short break in the action, unless someone has another bill that must be done today, after this bill, we're going to break so that those that require the ethics training can get it. I know there's Pete Barker, myself, and also Sudaline that had bills that were on the docket, and we will, if without objection, allow those to go by for the day. Senator Donovan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This bill is a work in progress. It addresses both the internship initiatives that we are establishing for higher ed, as well as some of the MOUs with universities. It's not right yet, but it needs to go to finance. The players that are involved in reconstructing it with Chev and finance staff are all there. So it's legislation that I think we're all familiar with and is moving through the process. If it would please the chairman and the committee, I'd request that it be re-referred to finance so that we can work it out up there and get it right.
Okay, we didn't get to hear some of the content, so let's just have if you don't mind, a motion to re-refer. Most of it is financial anyway. Is there a motion to re-refer the bill? Motion and a second that we re-refer the bill. All those in favor record your votes aye. Those opposed, no. And the clerk will close the roll. So thank you. So for the committee, thank you. I know today is one of those days it's tough, and we got through it, and I'm grateful for the kindness and also for the audience. We will, despite what LIS occasionally pumps up on the boards, we're going to meet at 8 o'clock. It says 8:30. We're not meeting 8:30. We're going to work with rules to try to fix that so that everything indicates 8 o'clock, but we'll try to remind you on Wednesdays that we'll be in at 8 o'clock. Thank you all, and with that, the committee will rise.